Hello, welcome back to, I think, what is going to be the final video in the review series. I'm joined once again by Cranberry.
There's no more M&M nicknames. I think we've actually used them all at this point.
You'd be surprised, I've
So
seen...
no, this time I'm just Cranberry. I've given up. I've
Huh.
given up the M&M thing. It was fun while it lasted, but all good things must come to an end.
Have you ever seen those images of people who are like, name your top 6 favorite rappers, and then they just list Eminem with 6 different nicknames?
I have not seen those,
Oh.
but I'll tell you right now, Eminem's not making it on any of those top 6 for me. But
Nah, me neither, but this
that's a
isn't...
matter of opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll say that for the next review
Yeah.
series.
Stay tuned for top 50 rappers review featuring me and Cranberry. Maybe a little tonal shift for the channel, but who cares? Anyway, this is the artifacts today. Shall we?
Yes,
Probably
let's
just
do it.
go through top to bottom here, start with the clan list, and then go into the clan specific. Yeah, and without any further ado, right, shall we begin? First artifact here is the advanced prototype. Train steward units gain damage, shield 2, and multi-strike 1.
A good candidate for maybe the biggest fall off from start to late game.
What are you talking about?
It's pretty good early. Like it'll make sure you can take most of the challenges fairly easily. But it will do nothing for you against Seraph, more or less.
You're not trying to kill Seraph with 9 train stewards with like plus 35, plus 35?
That's not my usual plan, but I'm sure it's been done before by some maniac.
You probably could get away with that on Low Covenant.
Yeah.
I think that this is an artifact that you take from, like, this is a great candidate for your starting artifact, right? This is a very high tier starting artifact. Like you said, it lets you take all those trials with a decent amount of confidence. Damage shield 2 lets them tank for basically an extra 2 rounds typically. And yeah, I think that past like 4-3 you don't take this. So after the first combat you can't see an artifact in any way. And you can't see an artifact from the second combat. So the earliest you could get this if it's not your starting artifact is right before Daedalus. Would you take it then?
Probably not. Well, I mean, it depends on the options, obviously.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling kind of weak, and also the other artifact is, I don't know, like a sting artifact when I have no stings or something crazy, like really bad, I'll take it, but I'm not going to be very happy about it because I'm going to feel like I'm not setting myself up for the end game. I'm gonna still peter out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this artifact is pretty much only takeable from the first chest if the other artifact isn't insanely good. And in a lot of cases, it's better than your alternative from the first artifact, I would say. Just realized I forgot to mute the music in this game. There we go.
I wouldn't even say it's necessarily better. It's often better early, but most artifacts will be better than at late game.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be going against a real stinker, something that's really mediocre. But for the most part, like, I'll take this if the alternative is something that doesn't really get my blood pumping, right? I think that there's a lot of things that are worse than it, and there's a lot of things that are better than it overall. But yeah, don't pick this late game. You shouldn't have train stewards past like 4-6 ideally. However, does getting this artifact change what your removal priority is, or do you still remove train stewards very quickly?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like I'll start removing other cards first before train steward if I get this.
Yeah, I haven't taken this in a while, to be honest.
Yeah, I often don't take it because usually, more often than not, I like the other relics more because I can usually get more out of them. But I don't know. It really does depend on the situation.
Yeah, it's a lot of these are going to be situational. Pairing them up against another artifact is going to be tough in a lot of cases because it's like, well, there's some clan specific. It's hard to we're not going to okay, well, against Boon of the Blacksmith, train steward's worse. Against Purifying Water, it's better, right? We're not going to go through every single one like that. Because you get these in selections of 2, just assess overall power level and be like, yeah, this is pretty good. Here's the situations I would take it. Here's what it does for you. I think that's probably as far as we can go with it. A lot of this game is very situational, though. You gotta kind of figure it out for yourself, right? Alright. Anything else you want to say about advanced prototype here?
No.
Alright. Next up, very straightforward, Boon of the Blacksmith. Your pyre gets plus 15 attack. I don't know if I've ever taken this.
I mean, do you have to take it for it to show up in here, or you just have to see it?
You just have to see it.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't think I've taken it either willingly, unless the other relic I've been given was horrendous. This is a pretty bad one.
Yeah, this isn't it's like it's okay, right? A lot of times plus 15 throughout the game is a lot of damage for your pyre. It will save you damage overall, right? This is a defensive relic if enemies are bleeding through a lot. Ideally, you want to shore up your defenses so no enemies bleed through. However, you know, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Outside of my my sextuple Kindle moonshine build, you don't really care too much about pyre upgrades. The only
Yeah.
exception is maybe vapor funnel, because that one is interesting.
No, Firewall
And
does
pretty
it.
useful.
Firewall
But
as
like
well.
yeah, a pyre wall as well, I suppose too.
I
But like the other, like a lot pyre upgrades, I don't like too much because the idea is that you want your relics, I guess, to more or less stop them from getting to the pyre in the first place.
Yeah, it's a relic that isn't like none of these relics actively hurt you, with the exception of there's two of them that have situations where they hurt you. But Boon of the Blacksmith is one where in almost every situation I've seen this, the relic that is offered aside it, like next to it, is better, right? How many situations are you like, oh, Boon of the Blacksmith is way better than the other option here? Not a lot, right? And in that 1v1, I think Boon of the Blacksmith falls pretty low on the list. Anything else you want to say? It's a pretty straightforward one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Up next, Cleansing Water, 50% chance to remove all buff effects from an enemy unit when it enters your train. Resin removal? What are you doing here?
I think, honestly, I think you're probably more often than not better off taking the 25 gold instead of taking this.
I don't know. I've taken Cleansing Water basically just... I take this relic sometimes. I'll take this instead of the 25 gold just because in 2 of 3 circumstances, you fight one of the bosses that has a buff on floor 5, and then in 1 of 2 circumstances, this artifact just bodies them, and you get to go, oh my god, right? So, like, 1 in 6 cases when you take this artifact, it just removes stealth from the stealth boss, and you just get to lose your mind. But for the most part, yeah, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, like, I feel like the stealth boss, while it can be tough sometimes, and if you have a bad setup, will walk all over you. Like, you can beat you don't need like a buff removal to fight that boss.
Yeah.
It's not like, it sort of comes down to the logic of, oh, if I needed this to kill the stealth boss, I was probably doomed anyway.
Yeah. I've had like maybe one run where the stealth boss killed me, and otherwise I probably would have made it to Seraph, I think.
I really just think you're probably better off taking the gold.
I mostly agree. It's very, very rare. Because the real question is, how many enemies enter your train with a buff? The stealth boss, the stealth marksman,
The rage boys, the little 5
oh,
ones.
the clergymen. They enter your train with rage,
But
and
they're not that big of a deal.
no, they like, oh god. If your biggest fear is oh thank god, cleansing water, I can fight the clergyman now. Like, what is happening in your runs?
Yeah, that's not great.
It's not good. Anything else?
No, take the money.
Yeah, take the money, more or less, or take the other relic.
Yeah.
Up next, concussive coals, 50% chance to apply dazed when an enemy unit enters your train.
Was this one of your 2 relics that sometimes are bad for you?
No, because I forgot this was in the game, but you're right. There's actually like 4 relics that are sometimes bad for you.
Yeah, this is one that it is sometimes bad. If you're using the shark, I want to use the actual card's name, but you keep calling it hot shark.
It is Titan Sentry.
Titan Sentry.
Hot shark.
If you're using Titan Sentry, that unit requires itself to be hit to be effective. Potentially, it being hit less is not good. Same with like the burnout candle lady of the Reformed.
Spike sentient.
Spikes. The situations where your unit getting hit is good for you.
Yeah.
So there's times when this is bad, but if your strategy is not that, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah, one thing to note is that if you pick this up, you are kind of committing to always setting a bottom floor with your with some section of your damage plan, right? Either your backline killing or your frontline killing.
You want to abuse the fact that the enemies are entering dazed.
Yeah, on average in a regular combat, this probably dazes like 7 enemies.
I would also say it's not like a automatic no if you are playing something that like wants to get hit. Like if you're playing, I would say Lady of the Reformed.
Yeah,
she'd probably be okay with this still.
Yeah, because you can just
an issue.
Yeah, you can just set her second floor, no problem. She starts with 3 burnout.
or even just you just need her to get hit once per round to more or less sustain.
Yeah.
And like the odds of like you getting so many dazes off that she actually burns out if you set her up on the first floor is pretty low. Unless
Yeah.
you have some sort of like quick setup where you're destroying everything before they even get a chance to attack sometimes.
Which would be weird, because then why is Lady there?
Yeah, exactly. So
I think it's worth noting as well, I'm pretty sure that concussive coils, don't quote me on this, but I believe this can stun minor bosses, but none of the major bosses, because the major bosses don't ever technically enter your train.
They're hanging out outside with a bunch of jabronis.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Okay. It's okay overall. Up next, unless you have anything else?
I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Forever Flame. Units cost -2 energy. It's good.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
It's just good, right?
Yeah, it more or less solves your energy problems, unless you're like, your energy problem is like, I have only spells.
Yeah, which you will get to a point.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it gets your units out, it lets, if you're playing Hellhorn or Umbra, it's like, oh, this Shadow Siege is looking a lot better now, or this Demon Fiend is like a zero cost unit, 50/50. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
there's good combos.
I think the best thing to use, the best case for Forever Flame is when you have any endless unit, because you do have to pay the 1 energy to like replay an endless Hot Shark, whereas Forever Flame then makes them 0. Probably the best unit to combo this with, in my opinion, is Votavary, because she has endless cost 1. Like, you're paying 1 for that endless trigger plus the... you're basically, with Votavary, paying 1 energy to have her trigger harvest on a floor and tank 1 hit for you, and with Forever Flame, it's now just free harvest and tanking.
It's free.
Yeah, it's free real estate. It's just, it's really good. Especially, also good if you're... Like, there are cases where this relic isn't great, but it does insulate you from like, oh, I drew too many units on the first turn and now I can't play them all, and now I'm like 10 turns behind. Yeah,
exactly. I would say, unlike the water, this is one that you would never skip, almost ever. There's basically maybe if you're like on floor 7 and you took 2 energy upgrades already on your way up, and you're like, oh, I already spent all my energy, and then it's not an issue. Then maybe you would take the money for some reason, but
yeah, there are situations, but
this is almost always a no matter what, worth the 25 gold you're quote unquote losing to take this.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Forever Flame. Up next, Guild Marker. Merchant costs are reduced by 25%. Sure.
Yeah, it's this is one that you actually never skip.
Yeah, because it's worth more money.
Yeah, it's worth more money than you would get if you skipped it.
I'm pretty sure it basically just neutralizes the Covenant rank that increases the cost of everything. So, it's fine.
Actually, I do take it back. I guess if you had literally like $0 and you got this, then you could skip it, because then it does nothing for you, and you get like a unit upgrade or spell upgrade. Yeah,
if you're... Typically, like, if you're getting this on 4, 6, or 7, you can tend to just skip this, but for the most part, like, take this, it's fine, it's money. 4, 6, or 7 and you have, like, no money anyway, then you probably don't want to take this, because you're not going to get a whole lot of value out of it. You might want to take the other relic, but I would argue that if you're going to take the money, you should still take this, unless you literally have 0 gold going into 4, 7, which is amazing. How did you do that?
Or like 25 gold, so you can get 2 unit upgrades, etc.
Yeah.
Like, there's specific breakpoints where I guess in theory it's better to skip it and get the money, but that's like 0 gold and 25 gold are basically those two spots.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're making more money. That's interesting, but yeah, you'll have to come to those fringe cases yourself. On average, this is just worth more than it is to skip it. Anything else?
I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Hammered chest plates. Friendly units get +3 health. Would you like to?
I mean, I guess so. It's I guess not terrible if you are Stygian primary, because it gives Tethys a little bit of a buffer from 3 HP.
This literally doubles Frostbite Tethys' health, which is the best use case for it.
Yeah. Other than that, it's pretty bad. No, I wouldn't say it's skippable. Like, it's everyone gets +3 health. That's cool. It's probably worth the 25 gold to get that bonus, but like, it's really only good. Like, it's like, oh wow, this is actually fairly impactful if you are Stygian primary and using it to protect Tethys.
Yeah, I can give you probably 2 situations where I've seen this do a whole lot of work for me. One of them is if you get this as your starting relic, it like on floor 1, the very first boss, whichever one it is, Chains or Discipled Inquisitor, both of them do 5. Hammered Chestplates pushes your Train Stewards to 11 health, which makes them take 3 hits from those bosses instead of 2, which essentially is 1.5 times efficiency in the Relentless rounds thanks to Hammered Chestplates. If you have a situation where those extra rounds are going to matter, you had a bad start, you don't have great cards, this is definitely worth taking just to give yourself a little more time against the bosses. And yeah, Tethys, I've had this get Tethys to like 12 HP, which gives Tethys an extra round to survive sweep, an extra round to draw into ways to keep Tethys alive. Outside of that, it's like probably okay with Hornbreaker Prince and just Hellhorned in general, because Hellhorned have such low health. This is like almost doubling Brandon and Demon Fiend's health. Or not Demon Fiend, sorry, Hellhorned Warrior's health.
Yeah.
But like as Umbra, as Awoken, this doesn't do a ton for you. Melting it does literally double Dreg's health, but does that really matter? Not really.
Much. They're gonna die soon anyway.
Unless you're playing the fabled Dreg carry run. Don't play that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Hammered Chestplates?
No.
Yeah. Not much to say about it. It's just flat health, right?
I guess how much more health do you think you would have to be like, oh wow, this is actually making all of my units substantially like tankier?
I mean, in all situations against everything, like plus 10 makes every unit survive 1 more hit from Fel or Seraph. That's a big number. Plus 5, it's like it's probably plus 6 would be like, oh wow, this really makes a huge difference.
Okay.
Because plus 6 pushes a lot of units over that 5 health.
Over that, yeah, exactly.
That makes them take an extra hit at 1 health.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Plus 3 is fine though. I think it's fine at plus 3.
Yeah, I think plus 3 is a tactical decision to make sure you don't reach that threshold where like you're taking extra hits from bosses often.
Yeah, I mean, if this were plus 6, this would be an auto pick in every situation. What world do you not just want to give all your units plus 6?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Up next, Hell's Banners. When you summon the second unit during a turn, gain 3 energy.
It's pretty cool, especially with Umbra.
Mm-hmm. Morsels count.
And then like also with Melting kinda, because of their starting card being units too.
Yep, agree.
But just the morsels being able to, generate a lot of energy, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, as Umbra, this is basically just an energy relic. You don't have to take energy from bosses.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. And in most cases, it's good. It's a very similar thing to Forever Flame, right? Playing units, gaining energy.
Yeah, and then being useless once you run out of units.
Yeah.
The difference for Umbra, though, is that they keep playing their units because morsels are usually from a source that's replayable.
Yes.
Not always, but usually.
Similarly, it's good with endless units. However, probably you will reach a point where you're just playing 1 endless unit per round, and this no longer gives you benefit, but, it has a lot of uses. It once again, similar to Forever Flame, it stops you from ever hitting that, like, oh, I drew 2 cost units, and now we've bricked, and I'm way behind, right? That's it. Like, that's all there really is to it. It's good, and I think that there's not many situations where I wouldn't take this.
I agree.
Anything else you want to say about Hell's Banners?
Just looking at it, I thought this was like a Hellhorn exclusive card, but now I realize it's a clanless.
Yeah, it looks like the Hellhorn recruit banner, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I thought the same thing every time I saw it. And I was like, oh, that's right. Huh. Alright, up next, Improved Firebox. Gain 7 Ember on the first turn of battle. I think this relic's really bad.
I mean, it's not actively bad. Like, it's not doing a negative thing to you ever.
It does nothing.
It is always a positive. It just makes sure you play all your cards on your first turn. The problem, this would actually be really cool if it had, like, a thing in Slay the Spire. Like, well, it does. You have the lantern, I guess.
Yeah.
But the lantern is only 1 energy, where this is 7.
Uh-huh.
And I find it kind of funny that I think the lantern is actually better.
Yeah, well,
because you have access to card draw in Slay the Spire, whereas in this game, your first opening hand is heavily favored to have units in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not gonna have much card draw.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to play that 7 energy ever, unless I guess you have Shadow Siege.
Yeah, I guess this is a great one if your only unit in your deck is Shadow Siege, because you always draw him on turn 1.
Yeah.
The biggest flaw I find with Improved Firebox, I think this relic would be really good if it said gain 7 energy on the second turn of battle. You always draw your champion as one of your starting cards, and your champion always costs 0. So that's already reduced efficiency right there.
This is true as well.
I think the only time I would ever take this is if I had Unbroken Horn.
Yeah, it's pretty cool as well.
I like every time I take this, I just end up floating 7 energy or sometimes 6.
Yeah, like this is begging to be used on an X cost spell, right? Like
Yeah.
just that huge energy burst right off the bat is pretty cool, but like you need to spend it on something.
And how many times do you draw an X cost in your first hand?
Not often.
Yeah, like when's the last time you can even think of that? Well, usually they're towards the bottom.
I don't know. Like, what like the point is that like it would be better if you A had Shadow Siege or B had the Ice Cream. I think those are the two situations where you do want this.
Yeah, or you just have a lot of 2-cost units, right? Because you tend to draw units turn 1, as we said.
You need a lot of 2-cost units.
Well, I would say if you have no energy relics and you have 2-cost units, this would be worth it. Because if you draw 2-cost units, this is letting you play both of them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, sometimes you don't draw those and you just go, ah, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a waste.
And then you draw both of them on turn 2.
And then you go, what the fuck? Just flip the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great. I don't think I would ever pass this though, just because like sometimes it's fine, right? In a few fringe cases, this does something, and I don't value that 25 gold very highly.
That is true. Well, I'll probably take this over the 25 gold often still.
Mm-hmm. But like probably I'll be taking the other relic over this.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, unless you have anything else.
I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Infused Mallet. 25% chance to deal 5 damage when an enemy unit enters your terrain.
I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like it has a good effect. 5 damage is a pretty important threshold for killing backlines. So that's pretty cool.
Kills every single backliner in the game except for Purifier.
And it, yeah, I don't know. It's not bad. It's not worth skipping ever, basically.
Yeah, it's like basically, you know, expect this to kill probably 2 enemies in a combat for you. Occasionally it snipes a backliner for you if you're really fortunate. It snipes multiple. A lot of times this just does 5 damage to a heavy and is worthless. One thing to note is that this can catch the collector for you.
Mm-hmm. I guess, again, important to know that there is a technical situation where this is a downside in that area where you want like your front unit to get hit, because it can in theory kill off the backline and stop your it can stop your front unit from getting hit if that's beneficial to you for some reason.
Yeah, or I've had situations where like this kills an enemy and I've had like it'll kill a backline unit, but I've had jack strips and I've had like a harvest unit on the second floor and I go, that's a lost harvest trigger.
Yeah, the most of the time it's good though, because even in like a lot of the fringe situations where you want, you don't want to be like, you want your unit getting hit to kill the backline often, more or less, right?
Yeah.
You want Hot Shark to be applying frost so the backline dies, which is why you want them getting hit in the first place. If the backline is just dying as a result, mission accomplished.
Yeah, it's fine, right? It's fine either way.
Yeah, usually. So it's basically a never skip. Like the effect is good the whole game.
Yeah, it's worth 25 gold.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anything else?
I have nothing else.
All right. Up next, Iron Drop Cage. Apply daze 3 to enemy units that are moved between floors outside of the Ascension phase. Clarification, Ascension phase is the section of the game when the enemies naturally move up. This applies daze 3 if you ever move a unit outside of after you press the end turn button.
Yeah, like Ascend, Drip Fall, etc., yes, those sort of things.
Exactly. This relic is a very high variance relic. If you're playing, like, I don't know, Awoken Umbra, you have a total of 2 cards that benefit from this. If you're playing Stygian, or, yeah, probably like, mainly this is good for Hellhorn because you have Ascend enemies. Stygian Melting Hellhorn, you take this, I think.
Yeah, I would say I would never take this, I think, if I had no movement cards.
Yeah.
I think I would almost always take the other relic or just skip and get the gold if I have no movement. With 1 movement, I haven't played with it too much, so I'm hesitant to say, but I think with 1 movement I would take this if the other relic was bad. And then with 2 to 3 movement cards, it's probably like really good, but like 2 to 3 movement cards is maybe already too many for your deck, though, is the issue. Sometimes.
I say Iron Drop Cage, even in Umbra, it's not bad because Cave-In is huge, right? Being able to move an entire floor and daze through to everyone. It is that Cave-In with Iron Drop Cage is Siren Song in reverse, so it moves them down.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I think that this is, if your other starting relic isn't very good, this is a good one to take just because you can grab an ascent, like a movement card. However, later in the game, I would probably not pick this unless the other, I don't think I would skip this, right? I think this is worth 25 gold even if you just have one movement card in the deck. Because, like, you know.
You skip it with no movement cards.
Yeah, no, like, first relic, if this shows up and I have no movement cards, I'll take it. Probably, like, past floor 3, if this shows up and I have no movement cards, I will take the other relic, or you know, probably I would only skip this at like 4, 6, or 7 because you can still pick up movement cards and be like, oh yeah, right. Imagine just like we said, like we talked about with Tiresome Climb. This turns every movement card into Tiresome Climb. Imagine just moving a boss up and hitting them for 3 days, killing everything on the floor below. You know, everything goes great.
Yeah.
Or just
it's don't get me wrong. Days 3 is a strong effect. It's just that there's not many cards that move units, so it's a high variance card into whether or not you get the payoffs for it.
Yeah.
If you take it before having them.
Do you think that drop cage is better with ascend or descend?
Well, I mean, let me think about it this way, I guess. Like, if you ascend from the bottom floor, right, and put days 3, as long as it's not a relentless combat, that unit is going to go, so spend days 1 in the middle floor, go up, be dazed again, and then go up to the pyre and be dazed one more time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
If you ascend up. But, like, I find, you know, in theory, ascension, or descending, I guess, is stronger because it delays them from getting to the pyre. So it's tough. I don't know which is better.
I have found that I think Ascension is better with drop cage because
I can see it.
a lot of times if you're descending from the 3rd or 2nd floor, which means you're always dropping an enemy down into another wave, which is kicking that can down the road. Unless you're dropping a tank and then they're made worthless, you're probably putting like a heavy or a damage at the back that's just going to be problematic. And they're just gonna like take a free ride up. I think Ascension's better just because like ascending with days 3, you know, look at Siren Song and pretty much everything that gets Ascent in there is killed. But yeah, overall I think that this is a good relic pretty much always, just because you can pick up something that and pick up an Ascension or Descension and then permafrost it, and it's pretty sweet. That perfect timing can save your life. Anything else you want to say about drop cage?
No.
Alright. Up next, Jack Strips. Deal 2 damage whenever an enemy unit moves between floors. Oh, buddy.
It's strong.
This is probably like top 3 relics in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's so good because it's good. Like basically, no matter what you're doing, it's good.
Yes. Up until 4/7, this kills every single backline unit in the game. Like,
and then even then, a lot of the backline units will die in 2 movements instead if they've managed to survive that long.
Yeah, and in the like 4/7 and 4/8, the standard backline unit is a 15/3 who will die in 2 floor movements. They'll never reach your pyre, and like the big time backline unit is a 15 × 2 5, so he will never do damage to your pyre unless he gets a kill because he had a slight heal. That's a whole thing. This isn't great if you're going against Seraph the Diligent, I think. Like, I wouldn't pick this up on 4/7 against Seraph, right? I don't think it does a whole lot for you on Seraph, unless you have like a quick sweeper that does 1 damage for some reason, which I have been in that situation.
I still don't know if I like it. The other relic still has to be very good for me to pick it over, still, because it still is useful then.
Yeah.
It still has use, even
yeah, I wouldn't skip
no matter
this.
what.
Yeah, this isn't a skip. This is never a skip relic, but like this is maybe one of the strongest starting relics in the game.
Yeah.
If not the strongest.
And like you mentioned before, it's a great use case for harvest, right? You put your harvest unit on the 2nd floor, and then you just leave the 1st floor like empty, basically. Everyone trickles on up. You get the harvest triggers before the combat even starts.
Yeah, I did that with the big sludge run that I had on this channel a few days ago. Big sludge sits on the 2nd floor. Enemy spawns in with like a heavy and 4 backliners. Big sludge just farms like, I don't know, 8 rage and then just kills the heavy and just goes insane. It's really strong.
Pretty good.
Yeah, decent. Maybe one of the best relics in the game. Anything else you want to say?
I have nothing else I wish to add.
Okay. Up next, Light's Gift. Apply dazed to enemy units when they enter the floor below the pyre room. This is another one of the sometimes detrimental relics.
Yeah, that's true.
if you have basically the only situation where this is detrimental, in my opinion, is when your boss killing plan is Thorned Hollow, because Thorned Hollow does less to clean up the enemies that sneak by, because you're going to put your Thorned Hollow as far away from the relentless combat as you can, which means he's going to be third floor most likely, which means he's not going to get attacked. Outside of that, this is fine.
Yeah, it's never outside of that. It's more or less never bad again.
Yeah.
You're usually like this is a good effect.
Yeah.
Comboed with what's it called? Iron Drop Cage, pretty sweet. If you move up to the third floor, they get dazed again, and then go up to the pyre room.
Yeah.
It's like a mini siren song.
Combo this with the Awoken one that roots enemies when they get to the pyre room, and you basically have just created a fourth floor.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Or not the pyre room, the floor below. But yeah, it's fine. You take it when there's not something better, right? And you have to determine a lot of these reviews. You should learn and take away from this is like every situation is different. Every card and relic has a use in a specific circumstance. You have to decide for yourself when you take this versus when you don't. On average, this is better than most relics, I would say.
I agree.
But sometimes something that is just like. It's not necessarily better than Jack Strips, but if you get offered this or Jack Strips on floor 7, you probably want to take Light's Gift, for example. Anything else you wish to add?
No. I think that's about it.
I think one thing
real quick. What is the actual art of this? It looks like a weird teardrop. That's like also
if you read the flavor text, this is like a gift from Fel, I think, to Herschel. Something like that. Okay. It's just like I don't know. I think this is like maybe a piece of Seraph. No, because Seraph's gift is like the yellow.
It looks like it's just like a necklace. It looks like the little.
Yeah, like a little pendant or like a holy symbol maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing I should clarify also is that Light's Gift applying daze to the enemy units does mean that after the round ends, they do still move up to the pyre as if nothing happened, right? They have dazed 1, so they take their free round in that room and then move up to the pyre if they're not dead, right? Just to make sure that's
daze does not stop movement. That is Root, which is a relic that we will talk about in the Awoken. There's one that does that.
Root is a really cool mechanic that I wish there was more of, but we'll get to it. Up next, Precious Plating. Your pyre gets plus 40 health. It's fine.
I have Lightstone Casing next on my list here.
You do? Oh shit! I missed it. That's my bad. I was hovering over Light's Gift, so Lightstone Casing was hidden.
Too.
Sorry. Up next is Lightstone Casing. Spells gain an extra upgrade slot. Sure.
I maybe I'm a little stronger because I was gonna say this is a pretty good one if you asked me.
I think
not as good as the unit one, I guess, because units are on average more important. But both of them I think are pretty good. As long as you have money to then buy upgrades after you take these. If you're late game and you're broke, this does nothing.
Yeah, this isn't like I spend my last 200 gold on this before Seraph, right? But this can let you do some crazy shit. This can let you get like two cost downs plus a holdover on something. It can let you get like a cost down, a holdover, and a double stack.
If you're going for a spell weakness, this lets you put 2 damage upgrades and holdover on your finisher, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's good. Again, make sure that this does something for you. This isn't my favorite starting relic because you kind of have to build around it and determine
it also does nothing for you in the first couple fights, more or less.
Yeah, ideally you get something that does something for you, but you can't really always. And taking this as a perspective pick, sure, right? You can move into something like, I've gotten what is it? Hidden in Smoke, Shrouded in whatever, the stealth card, and you can just cost reduction, holdover, double stack, all 3. I'll take everything. Yeah. And that's just free 4 stealth on the floor every round. Usually you have to sacrifice one of those aspects, typically the energy reduction. Honestly, I look at Lightstone Casing kind of like an energy relic, because typically on cards where you really want something like holdover, this just opens up that extra slot to put down an energy reduction on it, which is good.
I agree. I do think the unit one's a little bit more important because you're more often relying on units to win you the game, and 3 upgrade slots on your Legion of Wax is just insane.
Yeah, it's a lot. And the other thing is you can stack the same sort of upgrade on the units, right? You can stack plus 10 attack twice. You can't stack I'll take double stack twice, right? Whereas you can put I get 3 multi-strikes here from this unit upgrade slot. Lightstone Casing is well, I guess I take energy down because I can't put another double stack, I can't put another holdover, can't put another permafrost, I can't remove another consume. I think that's the real reason I think this is underwhelming, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Something to note with upgrade slots, I guess we can talk about this with just the Lightstone casing. It applies to the other one as well. Event upgrade slots are weird, so if you have Lightstone casing and you put an event upgrade slot, like you take an event that's like, oh, I'll take plus 25 health, and you put that on a unit with 2 upgrades on them already, and you have the upgrade to give you 3 upgrade slots, that 3rd upgrade slot just gets eaten up by that plus 25, right?
Yeah, it doesn't give you like it does. Event upgrades don't use a secret 4th slot.
Yeah.
They will use available slots if there are any available.
But if there are no available slots, they then push over to an extra slot. Yeah. So
I think we mentioned this during the event video, but I have never had a situation where I've had one of these 2 and then tried to exceed it past 3. I don't know how it works.
You do get to go to 4.
Do you get to go to 4? Okay.
I have seen it now.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Can you go to 5?
I don't know. I'm gonna guess yes because you can go to 4, but maybe not.
I mean, they're like we just found out the other day that there's a size limit to units, which I didn't know.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't be super shocked if there was also an upgrade limit that we just haven't seen.
They probably don't let you get upgrades off the side of the card, but it would be hard to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like while we're on Lightstone casing, do you have anything? We can just go straight to Pyrestone housing and then go back to precious plating since
Okay.
Pyrestone housing units gain an extra upgrade slot. Anything you want to add into the unit upgrade slot?
We more or less said I think it's a little bit better because you're more often than not, relying on your units to do the bulk of the work, but not always.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
And again, same thing. If you're flat broke and you're seeing this on like floor 7 or 8 or whatever, like don't get it.
Yeah.
And also be careful if you're like buying this from the last merchant shop, right? You're like, oh, I love Pyrestone housing. It's always so good. And you buy this and you only have enough money for like 2 upgrades and it does nothing for you.
Yeah. Also,
be careful.
Be cautious if you're taking multiple large stones. You don't want to accidentally make your unit not fit in the train.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, be careful because you can put 3 large stones on unit and make something massive, but for the most part, I think this is good for large stone multi-strike and an early plus 10 to make sure that my unit punches through things early on, or like an extra health, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll take, why don't I take endless and large stone and more health? Or, 3 multi-strike for my Alpha Fiend, don't mind if I do. Things like that.
Yeah, it gives you the option to do some pretty nutty stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes.
Anything else about Pyrestone housing?
No.
Alright. Precious plating, your Pyre gets plus 40 health. Sure.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It is only a benefit. We're gonna talk about it next, I think, but I think Pyre Wall is better.
Depending on when you see him.
That is true as well. That is true. But most of the time, yeah, like obviously, like if you're seeing this on like the last floor or whatever.
Yeah.
Precious plating is strictly better, unless I guess you can play like you can't play armor on your Pyre normally, right?
No.
What about the spell that doubles armor?
No, because you can't target the Pyre. Or
it doesn't target. It just casts it, right?
No, you have to target a unit for reinforce.
Oh, I thought reinforce was all units. I guess that's the rage.
That's the rage one.
Dang.
No,
Foiled again.
You don't get to do anything fun with this.
Foiled again.
Yep.
With my armor Pyre solo build.
Yeah, Pyre solo Seraph build has been shut down again.
Well, the first one hasn't been shut down. I want to point out, but this will not be a part of it.
Yeah. It's 40 more health. Is there anything really incredible we can say about it? Take a better artifact if there is.
One more round of combat versus Seraph.
Yeah, which, if it's that close, what the hell? How many runs do you have that are that close? I don't think I've ever had a run that's like, oh, if only I had one more hit from my Pyre.
You had a run, one of your spell weakness runs last night or 2 nights ago. I forget when, but you had one where it was like, if I hit with this forever, consume these like 100 damage off, and will come to the Pyre and kill me in a couple turns. So that one was.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I have had a run
not literally 40 HP on Pyre saves me close, but it was very close.
Yeah, and even in that case where it's like extremely close, on 1 energy off precious plating doesn't make the difference. Mm-hmm. It's just more health. You get to play more aggressive. You get to spend more health taking trials with this. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay. Firewall. Your Pyre starts with 15 armor each battle. So you just get a 15 health buffer at the start of every combat.
Yeah, you'll find that at High Covenant, you're bleeding HP over time much more than you are at lower covenants.
Yeah, I
So like
think.
each fight, slowly and slowly, you're losing 5 health here, you're losing 10 health there, etc., etc. So this will overall net you more HP than precious plating will.
Yeah, if you get this as a starter, right? The best use for this is like this lets you take almost every single invasion trial without any fear. Because usually, if you're taking an invasion trial on 10 or above, you're just conceding that top 4, right? Those top 3 units always get in there. With this, they get in there and they do no damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
It's neither of them are skippable, I'd say, unless you're
Right.
like very late game. Then the money's worth more if you're like very late, probably.
No, with precious plating, I think that very late game it gets even better.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah,
Firewall,
precious
maybe
plating,
not.
Yeah.
So like going into Seraph, if I have 200 gold and it's like, oh yeah, I could, or like say I have 300 gold and I could take precious plating, or I could re-roll and have a chance at getting one random of 3. I would just take precious plating because plus 40 health. A lot of times Seraph does sneak by those heavies because those heavies are massive. Unless you're absolutely certain you can dish out to like what is it, like 380 damage in a single round, or over the course of 3 rounds, right? Precious plating is going to do something for you.
That is true.
I like it for that. But early game, definitely Firewall.
It's boring though.
It's very boring. Yes. Speaking of boring, you want to move on, or you want to say anything else about Firewall?
No, that's it.
All right. Speaking of boring, refracting lenses. When a card with consumed is played, restore 5 pyre health. Sure.
This combos with the other, or specifically with wing clippings, right? Where it's like wing clippings. The trigger, I guess, isn't on being consumed; it's on playing the consumed card.
Yes.
Where wing clippings then saves it afterwards, and then you still get the effect of refracting lens.
Yeah, it's
more
fine.
or less a fixed spoon from Slay the Spire.
Right. Yeah, spoon, but it doesn't ruin your exhaust synergies.
Exactly.
Incredible. I think that refracting lenses is fine.
Yeah, it does depend on how many consume cards you have, huh?
However, you can take that shop upgrade that adds consume to a card to trigger refracting lenses.
Also true. I mean, I think I mentioned it at one point during these, but I like that upgrade as like an almost pseudo removal.
Yeah, it's a good one
on my cards. I very often put the consume and spell power upgrade on a lot of my starting cards.
Yeah.
Just to kind of like make them usable and then get them out of my deck.
I find, in my experience, that I tend to skip refracting lenses over another relic, right? Like this versus, I don't know, say Infused Mallet at the start of the game. I'd probably take Infused Mallet over refracting lenses.
Yes, I agree.
But, refracting lenses is worth more than 25 gold in almost every situation because it's just gonna heal you.
I again agree.
Yeah, it's good. Also worth noting, like, does heal you a ton if you're going against Seraph, the spell consumer.
I'm really excited for the next one, Voyix.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh. Up next. Sketches of Salvation. At the start of battle, summon 4 random units from your deck on the middle 4. I want to go first here. I just want to say, okay. I think I'm the only person in the world who doesn't like this relic.
I like this relic.
I hate this relic.
It's so fun as your starting relic.
I fucking hate playing this thing.
Unless you're playing Melting.
Melting.
Do not play this with Melting. All your dregs will get summoned and die.
I mean, it's pretty fun. They get 1 round of doing 36 damage and then they all burn away.
Yeah. Not good, but like, it's still fun. Like yeah. It's legitimately, in my opinion, a viable way to win if you get this as your first relic and you're playing. I would say you probably want to play either Hellhorn or Umbra. I feel like it doesn't work well outside of one of those two being in your setup.
I would say you need to play Hellhorn with this.
You would need Hellhorn.
Yeah. Because
I think if you have Shadow Siege, it becomes
however
a great way to cheat them.
Shadow Siege is a rare. Picking this at the start of the run to go, I'm going to get Shadow Siege in this run is very difficult to do, I think.
That is true. This is also true.
The upside...
There's unit that kind of works with still, but not many.
I think Hellhorn is better because they have Demon Fiend, Alpha Fiend. You don't really care about the ordering of your units either as Hellhorn.
Another thing too they have is, what is it, the shield spell?
Oh,
What's it
March
called
of
again?
Shields, yeah, for sure.
March of Shield, which is very important if you're playing sketches. You don't get to pick the order the units come down in.
Yes, most
So
important.
you can more or less play. You can with Sketches of Salvation you can play the game on turn one basically, where you go, okay, I'm playing my units. This is my setup. I have 4 units. I have only 4 units, and I know what my game plan is. I'm gonna, I don't know, put someone in front, have them tank, and then the other 3 units are going to DPS,
Yeah.
and that should kill everything. And it's not that hard to do, except for when they get put in the wrong order.
Yeah.
March of Shields fixes that for you.
Kind
So
of.
it's cool. I wouldn't even say kind. I would say once you get it, it's
You gotta draw March of Shields before your front unit gets murked.
Yes.
The big downside is if you're playing Hellhorned and you start with Sketches of Salvation, don't pick imps, whatever you do.
Mm-hmm. That's true as well.
This never plays your champion.
Mm-hmm. Also true.
I think that this is probably the worst this is probably the worst in, I would say, Stygian or Melting. Awoken, you can just try to take a bunch of hollows and spam regen on them.
I would say Melting is clearly the worst, and then Stygian is a pretty obvious second.
Yeah, because
I've had good effect with Awoken when I had Hellhorn, so that way I could have one spike unit or just one of the tanks in my 4 unit setup, and then use the shield march to bring them up to the front. But because they have good tanks, but
yeah,
it's pretty bad with Melting. It's pretty bad with Stygian, and there's definitely some bad units to have this with Umbra, but there's there is Shadow Siege, obviously. All hail Shadow Siege.
Yeah, all hail. Ember Forge.
There's some okay units in here as well.
I've got it.
And you could also set up on the first floor and use Cave Collapse to put all of your units down, or all the second floor units down with the first floor.
Right. I've answered the riddle. Are you ready?
Okay.
Sketches of Salvation start.
Mm-hmm.
Ember Forge, Firestone housing, and 3 large stones in the Ember Forge, and then you duplicate it 5 times.
That's terrible.
And then you just summon 4 Ember Forges that take up 7 space. You take up 28 train capacity on a single floor.
Generate a lot of energy with that.
Actually, I think you're not allowed to go above 6, so you would only be able to put 2 large stones, and then I guess you would give it a multi-strike.
Of course.
Think about the damage output.
No, I refuse.
You know what? I'll take my stand. These are review videos. I fucking hate sketches.
It's okay. You don't have to like it, but
I like playing a very controlled, you typically have all of your units in the top half of the deck sort of build, and it's okay, I've drawn into my units, I've played them in the correct order, I've spaced everything out correctly. This is just slam everything middle floor, full send, we're just gonna beat the shit out of everyone. I like okay, kill all the small stuff 4-1, kill all the heavies 4-2, kill bosses 4-3, right? I like a nice orderly set. This card is not orderly. This card is chaos.
You're gonna hate what I'm about to tell you right now, Voyix.
Uh-huh.
I think my Covenant 20 win on my way up. I think it was Sketches of Salvation and Volatile Gauge.
Oh my god.
And because there wasn't an issue with Volatile Gauge, because all my units got, it was that 4 unit setup, they all got put there. And then I think I just took energy upgrades from the bosses. And then I just filled my deck with as many expensive spells as I could, and it was amazing. And it won.
That sounds awful.
It won. How could it be awful? It won.
That's true. How could it be awful? It won.
I will say that, realistically, I like sketches because I feel like when you take sketches and I guess you are Hellhorned, and then something else good with it, I feel like you've got a solid 20% chance for sketches just to straight up win you the game.
Yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, a pretty good chance to win. I understand, people don't want to take a coin flip on the first artifact they take, whether or not it wins or dooms them their run. But, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The other things to say about sketches, the first combat, as long as you're not melting and didn't start with any units in your deck, this just plays 4 train stewards on your middle floor, which is fine. That will do a lot of damage and clear most enemies out for you, as long as your champion can clean up the heavies. And after you finish your first combat, you probably want to remove as many train stewards as fast as possible.
I kind of like this almost controlled burn, where I as soon as I pick up a unit, I then remove a train steward if I can.
Right, so you stay at exactly 4.
I'm substituting them out for units.
Yeah, I see that.
And I will say also that don't I honestly maybe don't even take this at like floor 3 if you get it. Like it's tough, I guess, but like this is really like a starting relic only pickup almost. Like beyond that, it's gonna cause you issues probably if you take it. It will probably ruin you.
Probably.
It needs to be built around early.
Yeah, you need to plan around like taking big units that you would otherwise never pick because this cheats them into play.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say about sketches?
I love it.
I hate it. Up next, Split Anvil. When you play a spell, spells in hand that cost less are reduced to 0 for the turn. I really like this relic.
I like it.
I think it does the most for you in Umbra. The only real caveats I have to say about this is if you play an X card at 3 energy, this counts as playing a card at 3 energy for the purposes of the relic. Anything that costs 2 or 1 gets turned into 0.
Mm-hmm.
One of the strongest builds I've ever had was a run where I had Split Anvil and I had holdover on Blazing Bolts as Umbra, so I would just play Blazing Bolts and then I would just play the rest of my hand for free.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it's good for that.
I will say some of the weakest runs I've had were runs where all of my cards cost a 1 or 0. So if I played a 1 cost card, the other 1 cost cards would stay at 1 cost because it specifically reduces cards that are lower costed.
Yeah, if you have all 1 costs, you want to get rid of this. This is why I think Umbra does the best. Umbra has a lot of expensive spells that make everything else free.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Wogan's got a couple too that are nice as well. It's got like
Awake, Pyre Grow.
Cycle of Life. Like it's got a couple too that it can use. You just want an expensive card to make your other cards cost less.
I think it's best with X cards because then you have that variable like, oh, I can play this at 2 on this and still get the rest of my stuff for free. Oh, I need to play it at 3 here sort of situation. Mm-hmm. It's good.
Also, pretty good combo of Volatile Gauge. Pretty good combo.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're not
makes
wrong.
A card cost 3, and then all the other cards, as long as nothing else costs 3, are free.
Yeah.
And that's never gonna happen.
Never in your life. Anything else you want to say about Split Anvil?
No.
Okay. Tempered Talisman. +3 magic power. Good.
Yeah, it's like... I guess there's like literally if you're playing Umbra Melting and you have no spell damage, it does nothing and you should skip it probably.
Even then, I would still take this ahead of getting like a Mind Collapse or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. 3 magic power is good.
Yeah. It's definitely good.
Doubles the effectiveness of your torches, doubles the effectiveness of your restores, and almost turns Frozen Lance into a playable card.
No.
Hey, you only need 5 of them to kill a heavy.
It is more or less a never skip. I will say again, like there are decks where this is useless, and you might want to consider it if you're at the end of the game, skipping it just for a little bit more money so you can get a purchase at a shop. But other than that,
viewer discretion advised.
Yeah, basically.
Anything else?
No.
All right. First Hell Pact. X cost cards get +3 to their X value when played. The thing I hate the most about this relic is that it looks like Sketches of Salvation.
It does.
And I love everything else about it.
Yeah, this is sort of like, I have the inverse opinion of this as I have the Iron Drop Cage, just because there's so many more X cards, they're easier to get.
Yeah. Again...
Go on. What's up? No, you go.
Alright, this is best in Umbra because Umbra has a ton of X cost cards. Mm-hmm. And this is worse in Melting and Awoken because they have the worst rail spikes and no other good X's. Yeah. This is good. Like, taking this out the gate and then picking up Vent as Hellhorn and putting a holdover on Vent is 0 energy, kill every single backline in the game aside from Purifiers. Comboing this with Morsel Spike is insanity. Like, it's so much Gorge trigger. If you put this on a Morsel Miner, this relic alone is worth 30/30 on a unit. Kindle is worth 6 energy. And Stygian is fine, right? Stygian has the spike and it's okay.
I have a question for you, Voyix.
Okay.
So you have the Hell Pact.
Uh-huh.
Right? You have Morsel Spike.
Yes.
And you're playing like a specifically like a Morsel build, right?
Yes.
Do you apply, remove, consume to the spike?
I actually had this come up recently. In a Seraphite, I went... Halfway through the Seraphite, I went, wow, I'm just floating like 8 energy here. I wish I had that Hell Spike right now. I think, yeah, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because removing the consume and minus wanting the cost still makes us a free, even at worst case, it's X plus 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's really worth it as long as you generate enough
and then
morsels.
slap holdover on that, and it's just like, oh baby.
Yeah, you're gonna be farming.
Cruising.
Absolutely, it's really good. Yeah, first health pack's insane. Every time I pick, in today's YouTube episode of Monster Train, the run I just played, I took this just for Morsel Spike, and it was extremely worth it. It won me the run.
The thing is that this relic makes every X cost card more or less an auto include in your deck.
Yeah.
With a few exceptions, like it makes all of the X cost cards amazingly good because all of them at X plus 3 at 0 cost are extremely playable cards.
Yes, agree.
With the exception of maybe then sometimes if you already have a very good backline plan in place.
Yeah,
That's the only time I would consider not taking it, but other than that, every other X cost card is basically worth.
Wax and Spike is the only one I can think of.
Yeah, I guess.
Sometimes that just kills your own units.
That's illegal. We don't talk about that.
Yeah,
card.
that card doesn't exist. Health pack's great. I love it a lot. Anything else?
No.
Alright. Trader's Quill, aka the card that actually makes Frozen Lands playable. When a card with Consume is played, deal 30 damage to the front enemy unit.
I still disagree with that statement.
Okay, but if you throw Consume onto a Frozen Lance, that Frozen Lance then does 56 damage to the front enemy unit. That's a reasonable amount of damage.
Yeah, I guess, but now you're spending a shop upgrade, and you're saying Trader's Quill now makes that card playable. Could've done that with Torch.
Yeah, but like, you know.
With Torch.
Sure. This is good. This is
you can't just say sure and then move on.
I mean, you're not wrong. Torch is the same.
No.
It's the same position, but you know, it makes Frozen Lance do 56 damage to the front enemy unit. It suddenly isn't so bad. Torch also does.
No, you're right.
52.
Trader's Quill is good. It's basically a never skip.
Yeah, it turns all of your consume cards into frontline nukes, and that's, again, you know how many times I'm gonna say it, good with Umbra. Umbra has a lot of good consumes that you can play anywhere, and yeah, definitely take this ahead of Seraph the Diligent, the one that makes your spells consume, and consider throwing consume onto some of your spells yourself as well. Anything else?
No.
Alright. Vapor Funnel. Apply Dazed to enemy units when they enter the Pyre room. Your Pyre gets -5 attack.
The audacity of Mega Crit to actually put a bong in this game is incredible.
This isn't a bong.
Okay.
I'm a police. This isn't a bong.
Okay. Well,
I refuse. This relic, I think, is the easiest one to look at when you're new to the game and go, wow, that sucks.
Yes.
This relic's great.
It's pretty good. I wouldn't go as far as like amazing, but I think great is fair.
I think this is a
maybe I'm a little less maybe. I've had times where like I've had a boss like ruin me, and then like the actual damage difference did matter sometimes, but not often.
The way that it works out though, right? With that Dazed, the higher health an enemy goes in at, the worse the Vapor Funnel is for you. But if an enemy survives 1 round, Vapor Funnel is positive. If an enemy survives 2 rounds, Vapor Funnel is positive. They hit you once and you do 30.
I think it's got to be like, wasn't it like 5 rounds basically? Or I guess it depends on.
Yeah, it depends on your Pyre's attack.
Yeah.
But like starting out from the beginning of the game, nothing survives longer than 2 rounds unless you let a heavy in there at full health. So this is probably one of the strongest starters in the game just for that fact, right? There are some combats where you can just not play any units and take no damage until the boss spawns. And as you go on into the later parts of the game, this gets a little worse, but also better because it always does farm backline if they get up there somehow.
That is true.
Very high opinion of Vapor Funnel.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like a better Pyre wall, more or less, when you think about it, with also like a chance for downside if someone gets up there and is there for a long time.
Yeah, if you let like an enemy through at 190 health, they're going to get a few extra hits in on you, most likely. But for the most part, this is positive. You can sit down and do the math for yourself on what the exact number of times through an enemy has to survive to do more damage to you. I'm not going to. On average, I think this is fine. Anything else?
No.
Alright. Volatile Gauge. When you draw a card, its cost is randomized between 0 energy and 3 energy. Draw +3 each turn. This relic sucks, unless this relic is insane.
Yeah, right? Like, that's sort of more or less it. You need some way to, counteract the cost fluctuations.
Yeah.
You know, a split anvil there does kind of actually do that. Like Forever Flame helps. Like if you have like a good way to stop this from ruining you, it's the 3 card draw is amazing. Like especially in this game because card draw is so limited.
Yes. Now,
But it's hard.
that being said as well, this game has a lot more, because obviously we're comparing this to Snecko Eye and Slay the Spire, because Snecko Eye and Slay the Spire sometimes is just a straight up victory. Volatile Gauge has the pitfall of there being a lot more zero cost cards in this game, as well as ways to make your cards cost 0 much more commonly.
Now I'm not certain about this, but I think the game I was talking about before, with the sketches volatile gauge combo that I had.
Yeah.
Where I think I had before I got in volatile gauge, I had put 2 cost downgrades on Awake, and I think the way cost upgrades interact with volatile gauge is that if a card's cost gets set to something, the cost reductions still get applied after the fluctuation in energy cost.
I believe this is incorrect.
You believe it's incorrect?
I put a -1 onto a Hornbreak in a run and still saw that Hornbreak cost 3 at least once.
Okay. I may be wrong then, but I thought that in that run, the card had never cost more than 1, but that, that may have been RNG on my end. So.
It's something that I think needs more testing. However, I'm not about to take Volatile Gauge to find that shit out, because that's such a fringe circumstance. This relic is not good unless, we talked about this I think we talked about this when I talked about Shadow Siege, right? You have to take the plunge. Either you have to take a card that is expensive that this cheats out, or you have to take this and hope you get the card, right? Either way, you're taking, I need this rare to make Volatile Gauge good, or I need Volatile Gauge to make this rare good, typically.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But if you do, for some reason, wish to take this, just take a bunch of energy and hope you don't die. But
I think you bring up a good point there. And it's like a philosophical choice of whether or not you want to take this before or take this after you get Shadow Siege, right?
Yeah.
I think Volatile Gauge is specifically when you want to take afterwards, because the downside of you taking this before you have the combo set is sometimes horrendously terrible.
I agree.
So yeah, watch out.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to cheat out big cards, but there's not a lot of ways to undo the fact that your entire hand costs you 3 energy.
But not none. Like I said before, Split Anvil you can use, Forever Flame you can use still to kind of help with that. But
the Firebox.
But yeah.
Yeah. I don't like it. I would not take this outside. It's a weird one. You could probably spend an hour discussing the pros and cons of this, but in reality, just if you're like, is Volatile Gauge good here? It's not good here.
It's been honestly so bad for me in this game that I think it's made me reevaluate Snecko Eye for the 8th time again in Slay the Spire, and I'm like, maybe that one is worse than I remember it being. I don't know.
It's strange. It's strange. Again, you could go into that's a whole video essay right there. Why is Volatile Gauge bad, but Snecko Eye is good? And I think that there's a lot of answers to that question that we could get into in a whole
next video.
Yeah. The next video, after the one of top 5 rappers that start with the name Eminem, then we'll do Snecko Eye versus Volatile Gauge in the Thunderdome. But for now, we're moving on to wing clippings. Cards with Consume have a 50% chance to be discarded instead.
Maybe we talked about it before, but it's Strange Spoon. You can't trick me.
Yeah.
I know this is Strange Spoon.
Where's the Jawworm? It's okay.
Yeah, you need Consume cards. Very often, this is not that big of a deal because you might play the Consume card once or twice, more times.
Yeah.
But due to the nature of the battles being faster in this game than they are in Slay the Spire, you're not going to get too many repeated uses out of a Consume card. Yeah. Also, keep in mind it might just do nothing.
Yeah.
If you only have one Consume card, this does nothing half the times.
I think there's a few major flaws with wing clippings, the main one as you said. So in a deck of 30 cards, in a standard combat where you're drawing, let's say 6 a round, in a 6-round combat you'll draw a total of 36 cards naturally, plus say you let the Relentless go all the way, that's a total of 9 rounds, you'll draw a total of 45 cards. If your deck is 30 cards, you're only going to repeat. So you'll play through everything the first time. You'll probably exhaust, or with the Consume reshuffling, you'll probably get rid of about 10 cards. There's a decent chance you never see the Consume card a second time, is what I'm getting at in a larger deck. this card benefits from a smaller deck. However, one of the best ways to make your deck smaller is by consuming cards. There's a bit of an anti-synergy there. I think the best case for taking wing clippings is when you're going against Seraph the Diligent, and it's going to consume your cards.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's how I feel about it. If you like just looking at it overall, like if you have a card, the other thing is if you have a card that you're like, oh god, this would be so insane if I get to play this twice. There's an upgrade for that in the Magic shop.
Yeah. Well, we talk all the time about how that upgrade is often not worth it, but like,
yeah, and that's
if your card is that important, it might be.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's weird. Is like I pretty much only really do the remove consume onto Space Prism. Would I want to remove consume on something like I don't know? I
have a question for you, boys.
Okay, go ahead.
You have Space Prism, right?
Uh-huh.
You have wing clippings before you get the upgrade to remove consume.
Yeah.
Do you take this?
Yeah. Do I take the remove consume upgrade on the Space Prism?
Do you take wing clippings?
Oh, I mean, do I have other consume cards? Because if I don't have any other consume cards, probably not.
Let's say you have, like, I don't know, like you have pack morsels as well or something. I don't know. You have other consume cards that are like do benefit from this basically.
I don't know. Probably because pack morsels is worth it.
Okay.
You got to evaluate your consume cards.
A follow-up question: do you then take the remove consume upgrade from the next shop you see?
I mean, not necessarily on pack morsels.
On the Space Prism, you to put the you have Space Prism.
Uh-huh.
You get wing clippings before you get remove consume. Right?
Yeah.
You then once you have both wing clippings and the consume card that you like, do you then give the upgrade to remove consume to make sure it never goes away?
Assuming that there's nothing better in the shop and I have enough money to do, or like I have enough money to do this and it's not going to hinder me in any way. Yeah, why not? If it's like I have to choose between this or re-rolling to maybe find holdover, probably gonna just re-roll to maybe find something better.
Okay.
I think that
it's up in the air still for you, more or less.
Well, basically, when I look at anything, so when I look at wing clippings, when I look at infused mallet, I look at concussive coals, I look at cleansing water. You know, any of these relics that are like, there's a percentage of this happening.
Cleansing water, get that out of here.
Look, it has a percentage chance. Okay, I look at all of those relics and I go, when I plan for these to miss every time, right? So I plan around the Space Prism always consuming, and then sometimes it doesn't, and it's a nice little benefit.
And then you plan on it working when it's like your last resort.
No, I just go, well, if it works, we live here, and otherwise we die, right?
Yeah.
But I don't plan on it. It's fine. I really think that this is a good one to pick up ahead of Seraph the Diligent, and otherwise probably pass it for whatever else is there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Alright. Winged Indulgence. Enemies get -1 attack.
It's good.
I'm a very big proponent of this relic. I think that this is another one that's easy to go, wow, only -1? That's extremely underwhelming. And this relic is really, really good.
You get hit a lot.
Yeah. There are... This, in just a regular combat, if this probably saves your tank somewhere in the field of like 30 health.
Remember before we said hammer chest plates would be good if it gave +6?
Yeah, that's this.
Yeah, this way more for your tanks.
Plus, like, enemies with multi-strike get double dipped. Seraph loses 3 attack total per round, which is like a big difference.
Loses 2. Relentless bosses lose like a lot. Like
yeah.
it's a lot of damage you're reducing.
I think that I would take this over a lot of relics. I think this is super good.
How do you feel about the fact that this is probably not an actual chicken leg and in fact one of the angel's legs in the picture?
I mean, I don't know.
You don't want to eat people?
I mean, they're not people, they're angels.
What's the difference?
I guess you're right. I think that's what this entire war is about, though.
Eating people?
No, what's the difference?
Oh, okay. Okay. Are you ready to move on?
Yeah. Take Winged Indulgence. Winged Steel. Yeah. When you play your 3rd card of the turn, draw 2. I think that on its own, this is kind of underwhelming.
I like this almost no matter what.
Yeah, like almost. Well, I've had a lot of situations where when you only have 3 energy, and a lot of times you end up just playing 3 cards and then drawing 2 cards that you can't play. I think Winged Steel, one of the strongest combos I've ever seen in this game for myself, just in terms of like raw power. Because no, this says draw 2. You don't often get the option to draw more than one card at a time in this game outside of when you draw your initial cards. Comboing Hell's Banners with Winged Steel is a pretty good combo.
Umbra loves it.
Oh yeah, because like play Shade Splitter, play a Morsel. That's 2 cards for Winged Steel right there, and one card for Hell's Banners. You get to play one more Morsel. Boom, you got an extra 4 energy and 2 more cards to play. It's huge. Like it's so huge.
It's crazy.
It is kind of nuts. I'm on Umbra. This relic's insane, and everyone else is pretty average. Wow, I feel like
I wouldn't even say average. I would say it's still pretty good, just because card draw is so limited.
Yeah, you're right. This relic kind of lets you not take the draw enhancement from the major boss.
You can take the energy enhancement instead, and then you get both.
Yeah, essentially. This does replace the draw enhancement, more or less. Good point. I agree. This is actually really good in all cases.
The floor is, I guess, not. It's pretty low because it can do nothing for you, but the ceiling is not hard to reach on this. It's pretty easy to enable playing 3 cards.
Yeah, and still having energy.
Exactly, and also we talk about it a lot. A lot of cards in this game cost 0.
Yes.
Many cards cost 0, so it's not hard to abuse.
Yeah, I noticed that in a lot of these relics in the common pool, I've gone, this is so good if you're Umbra, and not a lot of other clans have I gone, this is so good if you're this clan.
A couple for like
Hellhorn sketches,
basically. I would say that like Jack Strips and Infused Mallet are better if you're like melting for Harvest.
Well, I would say Jack Strips benefits Umbra because Umbra can't hit backline very well.
That's true, I guess, as well.
But yeah.
I would say okay, specific synergy goes to like melting for the Harvest.
Yeah, agree. Alright, that closes out the colorless artifacts, the clanless. How many was that? 3, 6,
20,
9,
I think?
12. That was 30. We're a third of the way through this video. Oh my god, this video is going to be 3 hours.
Hell yeah.
I hope you're not looking at the timer right now going, oh fuck, they're right. Alright, let's...
Or, oh fuck, they're so wrong.
Yeah, maybe this video ends in 5 seconds. I just hit the end recording button. Upload this. Alright, you ready to move on to Hellhorn?
Part 1, baby. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Up first, Ashes of the Fallen. Summon abilities trigger an additional time.
This is better for Awoken than it is for Hellhorn.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I hate this relic because this game has a lot of good things to be said about it, but there's a lot of confusing wording and things like this in this game. Ashes of the Fallen, summon abilities trigger an additional time. Let me just go find a unit that does something when summoned that doesn't benefit.
It's gonna be an imp.
Yeah. No, let me find a unit that does something when summoned that doesn't benefit from this. Right? Let me just scroll through real quick while you talk about this.
So I think this is better for Awoken because the tanks get so much more of a benefit out of a double trigger than most of the imps do. Because only imps and the hollows have summon abilities. As we mentioned, I think with the Transcendent.
Transcendent. I think there might actually only be one unit that has a summon effect other than here, let me just search summon here in the thing. In all clans there are the imps. However, I'm not sure, I asked this in the comments recently, and I was told that Transcendent gets the double play. However, I guess it would make sense if he gets the double play because he's repeating summon effects, so the summon relic triggers twice. I don't have a ton of experience because I don't play imps.
Is his ability a summon ability, right? Or are those abilities being triggered counted as summon abilities?
I think they are, but like, you know, I guess I have had people go, oh, this would be nuts with Morsel Maker. That doesn't work even though Morsel Maker has summon in his text. It isn't summon the keyword. And same with Remnant Host and Legion Wax. They have summon in the text, but it isn't a summon effect. It has to be the summon bolded keyword for this to affect the unit. I think the only unit that this really... They took it off of him, right? Dante used to have this, where this would work with him. I feel like this relic, it's in Hellhorn for a reason, and the reason is because no one else outside of, like, Awoken makes use of this.
I think Awoken makes better use of it.
Yeah, getting into the actual evaluation of it. Double triggering summon is like, I guess on the Rage Imp it's okay.
on Rage Imp, it's okay. I guess on like the remove consume cards, if you have 2 cards, you get 2 back.
Yeah.
It's just like it's pretty low impact though. It's not like necessarily a skip. If you have a couple imps, take it.
Yeah, if you start with an imp. No,
Have
wait.
one of the evolving tanks. If you have one of the hollows, take it too. It's pretty good then.
The best imp for this is actually Welder Helper. How could I forget?
Welder Helper does like it. That's true.
He gets 30 armor.
That plus 50 HP, 1 space Welder Helper tank. This will make him 15 HP more tankier than before.
Yeah, it's okay. Right, if you have an imp, this is probably worth it. Anything else?
Nah.
Alright. Collection of Tails. Rage does not decay on friendly units. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, you hate Rage.
I don't hate Rage. Look, I feel like 2 of 3 Seraphs beat the shit out of Rage builds, so I don't like Rage for that.
Yeah, that is a good point, but I think more so than a lot of the other, like, I guess, like, countered archetypes, Rage has the best chance of, like, just being able to over-generate past being countered. But I think Collection of Tails is probably mandatory if you are trying to do a Rage build. Like, I think, like, get this first, and then you go, okay, I can go into Rage. I think that's your best use case. I don't think you want to try to like go super heavy into Rage and then bank on getting Collection of Tails to save you. I've had it happen before. I've had it save me.
I think you can do that.
Rage.
If you have enough Rage generation, you can handle it, right? If you have like Brandon Warrior, maybe the Spike, and maybe a few Inflames, you can probably outscale.
This is pretty important though.
Yeah, it is. For sure.
Because like the big issue that'll happen a lot is, let's say you're playing Brandon Warrior, and let's say he has a couple of weak early turns for whatever reason. Maybe you don't even get him out until like turn 2 or something. Like you don't get him set up well, and he loses his Rage, and then he doesn't snowball. This stops that from happening because he will not lose his Rage.
Yeah, Rage is momentum focused.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Rage.
Stop losing that momentum.
Yeah, Rage scales up over the combat mostly, and this stops that momentum loss for sure. It's good if you're playing Rage. It makes that Rage 7 upgrade from the shop pretty nice too.
Yeah, that's better than the plus 10 attack upgrade.
Yeah, by like 4, but still.
And then if you have any other synergies, if you have the Range Brute, if you have the other Rage Relic coming up in a bit, etc., you know. It's cool, but like...
Yeah, it's fine. That's it, right?
Why do you hate Rage so much, Voyix?
Look, I feel like half of my combats are against Seraph the Chaste. Do you know what it's like to watch your like 36 stacks of Rage drop to 18 and then just get stepped on by a 10-190?
Yes.
It fucking sucks. I don't like that feeling.
It does.
It's terrible. Fuck Seraph the Chaste. What a piece of shit.
I would actually go as far as to say that I wouldn't even say that the Sap Seraph stops Rage.
No, it doesn't really.
Just because like they more or less do counteract doesn't mean that it's a hard counter.
Sap Seraph
specifically hard counter is multi-strike.
Yeah, multi-strike and like Slay, Hornbreaker, Prince, and I would say Brandon Warrior because Brandon needs scaling, but like Brandon probably isn't your Rage plan.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's cool.
It's just Seraph the Chaste, and I feel like I fight Seraph the Chaste way too often.
Like I said before, I like getting Collection of Tails early because it lets you know that you can safely build into Rage and not have to worry about it. Even though it's going to be weak early because you don't have, you're not going to have Rage.
Yeah.
But you're going to be weak early, but this is going to be a very good carry relic for you.
Right. Okay, Mr. Rage. If you start with Collection of Tails, do you pick Ritual of Battle?
That's a good question, and I don't think so. I don't think you still. I mean,
at 2 energy, is Ritual of Battle like if you throw a -1 cost on it?
I would say you don't pick it, but you also don't remove it if it's in your starting deck. Is what I would probably say about Ritual of Battle.
Yeah. I guess.
Maybe. If you're on like floor 5 or 6 and you've made it that far and you have extremely terrible Rage generation, then sure you can take it then maybe.
I hope you have better Rage generation by then.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Consumed Crown. Friendly units gain +2 attack on kill.
I agree with
And you don't not take it, but like almost everything's better than it.
I also agree.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's like, +2 on Slay is not that great. Like the
No.
champion, like Hellhorn's champion at start is +10 on Slay, and he's maybe one of the worst champions in the game still.
No, the Slay one's good. It just makes you think.
He's the best version of Hellhorn, but I think when you stack up all of the best versions of each champion, he's probably one of the worst ones still.
Yeah, I mean, he's worse in the early game and better in the late game, I think, than most champions.
Yes, yeah.
But
But like this is 1/5 of his level 1 ability.
Yeah, it's not good.
But it is on all of your units though, which is important too.
It's
Every
still
time
not
you're
good.
killing something with a unit, something's getting stronger.
I guess in theory, if you have like a multi-strike or Hellhorn warrior or whatever he's called on the bottom floor, killing like a heavy in a backline every round because something in front like opens it up, he's in theory going to get a lot of value off of this. He's going to get +4 a round. He probably gets like a total of somewhere in the range of 20 extra damage into combat, but like I don't know if that's going to be that important. Yeah.
Well, it is like more or less never a negative. Like I guess in theory it's
Yeah,
negative. Where it's
exactly.
like, oh, something else is snowballing instead of the unit that I want to snowball.
But that's
Or
your own
weird-
problem.
Yeah.
Like that's your own setup problem then.
Mhm.
It's fine, right? Don't skip this, but don't like take something better over it, or it over something better. And there's a lot of better choices. Up next, unless you have anything else to say about Consumed Crown.
Nah.
Gurg's Goad. Demon units get multi-strike 1. I will now show off all of the demon units in the unit archetype.
Okay, I want to point out before you do that, there's not many, but some of them, goddamn, love this relic.
Yes, Alpha Fiend in particular, I think of.
Alpha Fiend and Demon Fiend, both of them are like, hell yes, give this to me.
Branded Warrior, Deranged Brute if you're using him as a tank, Horned Warrior, basically everyone but Railbeater. At Railbeater it gets really weird with. Multi-strike on Railbeater is a very strange thing to have.
Yeah, a little too much shuffling.
Yeah, I mean what he does is in most combats he just like knocks a tank away and then kills a backline. But
Yeah,
typically,
which is sometimes bad, right?
'cause
We talked
you're-
about before. We like the one thing you kind of want to do with Railbeater is to knock the tank back and then have the backline get slay triggers on the backline.
yes.
Which multi-strike will stop because then he'll be getting the kills.
Yeah, and Steelworker doesn't care, but everyone else in the lineup is happy with this. This is a good relic to pick if you're Hellhorned, which you are because you got it. Whoops,
Yeah.
I left the logbook.
This is one where this is like one of the few ones where I pick it even if I have no demon units, because then it's like, oh, yo, if I get Alpha Fiend after this, we're set.
Yeah, you don't take this past like 4 or 5 if you have no demons because you won't be seeing many unit drafts from there. But early on, this is a great pickup even if you have no demons because you can then lean into it.
Yeah, like just putting large stone, multi-strike, and then getting multi-strike on your alpha demon.
He'll be
Ooh.
thick.
Oh baby.
Anything else?
It can be terrible.
Yeah, it can do nothing for you.
So just to clarify, it can do nothing. So watch out.
Yeah, definitely has a chance of doing nothing. Just make sure that you have demons or will be able to get demons. Alright, up next, Imp Sickle. At the start of turn, add a random imp unit to hand. I will show off the imps in case you've forgotten.
You can go first.
It's okay.
I agree.
I think that it's definitely, there's not a good reason to skip this because generating, as long as this is a relic that definitely you either want to have like Forever Flame or just take an energy relic. Being able to summon like a Molting Imp, a Fledgling Imp, a Welder Helper every turn is nice, and it opens you up to taking Consumer of Crowns in the mid to late game, or just whenever you see him, and he's a pretty easy thing to play. However,
Same with Implate, I would say too.
yeah,
And I guess
Implate,
I don't even like Implosive. I didn't say it, I've just changed my mind. I just kind of don't like the card.
the big thing is like Impsicle plus a holdover Imp Important Work is +2 energy, draw 1 every single round, which is really good. Impolate, it does scale up over time. Impressive, it's fine, I guess, right? 50 damage to the front enemy unit.
I think I said implosive. Did I say implosive or impressive?
I think you said implosive, but I figured what you meant. But you
Okay,
made your own imp pun.
Explosion. The explosion one I hate.
Impressive, kill an imp, deal 50 to the front enemy unit.
That one's the one I don't like.
Okay. Yeah. I think that this is a relic that you take even like it's fine, right? Imps are pure positive as long as you have the energy to play them, and you can just plan to get the energy to play them or pick up an energy relic later on.
Energy and the room, important to note.
Yeah, which you typically have the room unless you're playing, like, I don't know, Penumbra main.
Mm-hmm.
And this lets you pick up Consumer of Crowns. However, I've seen a lot of situations, like most of the time when I've done this, I've drawn Consumer of Crowns turn 2 before he was playable. You gotta be ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
I left the fucking logbook again. Anything else you want to say about Impsicle?
No.
Okay. Up next, Railhammer. Grant +4 stacks of armor each time it is applied to a friendly unit. This applies on play as well, so like your Hellhorn Prince with multi-strike will get 14 armor at the start instead of 10, doubles the effectiveness of Steelworker, things like that.
I have a question.
Yes.
I can imagine how the Stygian incant trigger works,
Yes.
where it's armor per incant gets buffed up to 5.
Yes.
You have 2 separate instances on the same creature of incant gaining armor. Let's say you have it on the not hot shark, or if you have just that ability stacked twice on the same unit. Do you get 6 armor or do you get 10 armor?
So I have actually had this exact situation on the hot shark that has incant armor. I gave him the shop upgrade for incant 1 armor, and he had the armor totem on the floor, and I got Railhammer, and he was, every time I played a spell, he was gaining 24 armor. He would get,
that's a lot of armor.
yeah, his base 3 got +5, and then the one I put on him got +5, or +4 I mean. So he was getting 7, plus he was getting 1 +4, and then I had another 1 +4, and then incant totem was giving 1 +4 as well, which was, sorry, it was only 17, not 24.
Okay, well, I think the point still stands there.
Yes.
I think the ceiling on this card is incredibly high, but also the floor is very low.
This relic is better in Stygian than it is in Hellhorn. Change my mind.
I don't know about that. I would say that Hellhorn Stygian. I think the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think that a battering ram spell weakness armor deck is possible.
Yeah, but like instead of that, just take like Railhammer and then just generate so much armor you kill everything.
Yeah, but then what if you generate armor and then battering ram though with spell weakness?
Well, you're gonna apply most of your spell weakness from Tethys, and then all your armor is gonna be dead after the relentless combat, and then your battering ram is gonna do like 5 damage.
You're right.
It's better to just have a different finisher. I'm sorry.
Yeah, goddamn.
This battering ram, it struggles.
Yeah.
Railhammer is good. Outside of like the Stygian combat, it's like, yeah, this is essentially like putting double stack onto Fortify +4 armor from most sources is good. It's more health. I would always take this and just pick up a Fortify or something like that.
Even if this is better in Stygian, which I'm not saying it is.
It is.
Even if it is better, which I'm not saying it is.
It is.
Even if it is better, it's still good if you're not Stygian. If you're Hellhorn,
Yeah.
which you're if you take this, it's still a very good relic.
I believe that Stygian... No, there's one other way you can generate armor outside of Hellhorn and Stygian. It is...
Don't tell me.
Don't tell you?
I don't. What is it? I don't know.
Oh, it's mold braces from the melting. Apply friendly units gain extinguish. Apply 5 armor to the front and friendly unit. We'll talk about that relic in a little bit.
I never would have guessed because I was thinking only in the realm of cards. I wasn't thinking of other artifacts.
Yeah, I think that's the only way.
Okay.
Yeah, Railhammer's good. Doubles the effectiveness of a lot of armor cards. That's it. Anything else?
No.
Okay. I guess one niche circumstance I don't have tested, maybe you know this, but maybe not. If you reinforce, does it just give you double, or does it give you double +4?
I don't know. I haven't had that happen.
Yeah,
my
me
guess
neither.
would be double +4.
My guess would also be double +4. I guess I'll keep an eye out for that. Up next, Resonant Shard. Rage adds an additional +1 attack per stack.
Would it have killed him to make this +2 per stack?
Honestly, I think that Rage should be 3 damage, and this should stay as +1.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Honestly, maybe. But like, it's just weird that like they like it seems like it's not that big of an impact, and it's not that big of an impact. It helps. But unlike the tail, this is not a reason why I wouldn't see this and go, oh boy, I should move into Rage quick. Like it's not that appealing.
I've never taken this relic.
It's not bad. I think I told you about this one time, but I had a run where I was like a Rage build and it was going pretty well, but it wasn't like super amazing. And then in the last merchant shop, I got both Collection of Tales and Resonant Shard, and I was like, oh baby, and
Oh baby.
it won, and it was like pretty cool. And I think I needed both of them there to win. So it can put you over the top. It can definitely be useful, but like not as good as Collection of Tales, I would say.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add. I've never played with this, and I probably never will. I don't think it's very good because I don't think Rage is very good as a whole.
Why you gotta hate Rage so much, dude?
I think it sucks. It's relic dependent. I don't want to play something dependent on my relics.
Yeah.
Up next, unless you have anything else you want to say about Resonant Shard.
I have nothing else to say.
Scorched Steel. Friendly units enter with armor 5. This does synergize with Railhammer. This becomes armor 9 if you have Railhammer. Good.
It's good, yeah. It's better hammer chest plates more or less, no matter what.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm sure we're in situations where hammer chest plates is for some reason better.
Healing.
But I don't. Yeah, I guess.
That's it. But yeah, Scorched Steel's fine. There's no reason to pass this. Yeah. Ever. Plus 5 health on all your units is cool. Anything else you'd like to add?
Not really. It's pretty straightforward.
It is pretty straightforward. You know,
refer to us talking about hammered chest plates.
Yeah, more or less. If you're like, oh, they didn't talk about Scorched Steel, hammered chest plates, dude, it's like the same thing, but slightly better with a little nuance that you can probably work out for yourself. Up next, Scorching Restraints. Friendly units enter with Rage 3.
I think this is just like better than Resonant Shard. At least it does something for you if you don't already have some Rage cards. Like it'll be like, oh, my units start with +6 attack that decays.
Yeah.
But it's not amazing. Again, it's like pretty good if you have a Rage deck set up, but
it's alright. My biggest problem with Scorching Restraints and Rage in general, right, is I tend to try to set up second and third floor with most of my damage, which means that by the time enemies get to me, the Rage has already decayed a lot. Mm-hmm. Which is why I struggle to play Scorching Restraints. But I'll still take it, right? It is, like you said, +6, +4, +2. It's fine. It's not a skip.
I agree.
Finally. Oh boy. Now here's one I'm excited to talk about. The Unbroken Horn. Conserve energy between turns. Ice Cream, who?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to explain it? The whole thing?
No.
No? Okay, really. We don't explain it then. I don't like this relic as much as you do.
I think this relic is good.
It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. It's never bad. Like, it saves you. But, like, I found that in this game, it's easy to reduce your cards a lot and have it not be that much of an issue. To not need energy.
I agree. I wouldn't call this relic an auto take. There's definitely things that are better than it, but I think that it's, probably like upper B tier, maybe A tier relic. It's good.
If you're on like floor 5 or 6 and you see this, and like the way you're playing your deck is like you're just spending all of your energy every turn, no matter what. Like you probably don't want to take this then, because like it's not. If you're already spending all of your energy every turn, this does nothing for you.
Yeah.
Right. It never hurts. It never hurts, and it requires you to. No one likes this, but it requires you to think more about your turns, because you might get into the habit of autopiloting of like, oh, I'm playing Awoken, let me play my restores, let me stack up 3 restores this turn on my unit that's not taking any damage to give them 3 regen.
Are you?
When that would be better spent, saved for next turn.
Are you just calling me out right now?
I'm calling myself out. I do it all the time too.
Me too. Hello, it's me. Once again, I'm here to say my classic line. I think this relic's better in Umbra.
Yeah.
Umbra has good X cards. Conserving energy is good for X cards.
Yeah.
That's it. Conserving energy is cool. That's all I really have to say about it. Anything you wish to add more?
That's all I have to say about it too, other than that, don't forget what you said about ice cream.
It's a boring relic. And it sucks! Let's move on. Awoken. Overall, Hellhorned, we didn't do an overall for the clan list because, that's 30 relics. I don't really have an overall there. I think Hellhorned on average has, decent relics, but a lot of them are specific, like Gurg's Goad. Railhammer is probably the standout. Huh?
They are very specific, aren't they?
Yeah. Ashes of the Fallen is bad outside. Collection of Tales is bad outside. Scorching Restraints, Resonant Shard, Gurg's Goad, Consumed Crown. All these relics are bad outside of Hellhorn typically.
They do a pretty good job of more or less focusing on Hellhorn's 3 main archetypes: Imps, Rage, and Armor. But they're the rest of them are usually worthless, more or less, outside of this archetype. So you only, if you're when you're playing Hellhorn, probably only 1 in 3 of your relics are useful for you.
Yeah, I think that the standout relic here is probably Railhammer. It has the potential to just be absolutely nutty. Honorable mention goes to Scorched Steel and Imsicle, and I think the worst relic here is probably Consumed Crown.
Consumed Crown, Resonant Shard, one of the two, probably.
Yeah, one of those. On the
Yeah.
Awoken?
Yes.
Alright. I think we should do all 3 of the Sting relics together just so we get them out of the way.
Sure.
Alright. So there's 3 relics specific to Sting in Awoken. It turns Sting the 0 cost. I'll bring it up after we bring them out here, but like, so there's 3 here. There's Channel Heart, Sting spells get plus 20 magic power. There's Thorn Casing, Sting spells get plus 10 magic power and piercing. And there's Thorn Fruit. At the start of turn, add a Sting spell to your hand. I'll bring up Sting now. Cranberry, would you like to say anything about Sting? And these relics?
I really feel like that Thorn Fruit is pretty bad unless you have at least one of the other 2
Yes.
Sting relics. And I think that Thorn Casing is the best. Channel Heart is pretty bad, and then Thorn Fruit is the worst, but if you have Thorn Casing already, is better than Channel Heart.
Yeah, Thorn Casing plus Thorn Fruit is just you kill every tank in the game always. There is no exception. If you get these 2 together, every single first, like no matter what you do, you will always kill tanks. All of the armor tanks in the game die to this.
Yeah.
I agree with your assessment overall. Channel Heart is probably weak and Thorn Fruit is weak. I think Channel Heart overall is just like not very good because plus 20 on the Sting, turn 25 damage to the front enemy unit. We said that the Frozen Lance doing 26 to the front enemy unit wasn't great. That plus 1 draw, there is something to be said for Thorn Fruit. If you have a deck that is like, I really just want to get through the deck the first time, and then once our units are all set up, we're good. This card is essentially draw an extra card every turn, right? Because Sting does give you that plus 1
after your first turn.
After first turn. But yeah, for the most part, Thorn Fruit sucks on its own. I think Channel Heart, like, they're very weird, right? Because they're all very, like, I don't think I would take Channel Heart ahead of having Thorn Fruit. If I had Thorn Fruit for whatever reason, I would take Channel Heart. But
I really just think it comes down to an early Covenant Stings work because
Yes.
the game's easier, and then like they hit a wall at some point, maybe around C. I don't know the exact point,
probably
the exact break point, but like, there's a break point, and then Stings just jump off a cliff.
Yes, agree.
And they're more or less unplayable for like an archetypical win condition.
I think the breakpoint is probably like the hard breakpoint is definitely Covenant 23 when the heavies get the extra health, and the soft one is whenever the bosses get the extra health or the first heavy health increase, because Channel Heart, even in your best case where you're playing like 4 Stings in a round, that doesn't even kill 1 heavy, right? Think about it. With Channel Heart, you need, what is it, like 8 Stings to kill a 190 health heavy? That's not okay.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
That's 8 cards. I don't know if you've noticed, but that's a lot.
That is a lot. That's you only get to play 2 cards because your hand size is 10. I think, like you said, Thorn Casing actually is really sweet because this is a way to kill tanks. I've taken Subsuming Blade for the same thing. It's fine, right? Fine.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Sting as a whole?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I echo your sentiment. Sting just kind of like falls off so hard, but it's fun in the early Covenants. Watch out for Mr. I gain 1 attack when I get hit. That guy eats your Sting decks alive.
Watch out for any incant person in the backline if you play like 5 Stings.
Watch out for every unit when you play Sting, because they all are going to beat your ass.
I mean, there's one that gains 10 armor, right?
Yeah, that guy actually...
Yeah, watch out!
I guess with Thorn Casing, you would just be trading 10 health for 10 armor there, basically.
Yeah. Well, no, you'd be dealing 5 damage.
You're dealing 5 damage, sure.
Yeah, so like I guess specifically watch out with Thorn Fruit.
Yeah. Fuck Thorn Fruit. Move on.
Yeah.
Alright. First up, other than the Stings, Cursed Vines. 50% chance to swap the front and back enemy units when they enter your train. I think this is the worst relic in the game.
I understand like why it exists because like we talked about it a lot. Like I guess when you think about the Awoken, unless you're playing spikes, the Awoken has no way to kill backline units basically. So the idea is that you move the tank to the back and then your tanks just punch the backline.
Yeah.
But you have spikes, so this is dumb.
You also have sweep units.
You have some sweep units too.
There's 2 sweep units that wipe everything out.
Yeah, it's just like you don't need this in Awoken. No one needs this, but
No
Awoken
one
really doesn't need this that
no
much.
one needs this. Like what this a lot of times what this does is it just like it in the good cases, I guess it makes the backline hit first for some reason. And in the bad case, I guess the best case for this is it pushes a zero attack tank to the backline, right? This is your best outcome. And even that outcome is like, oh, good, now like in most cases, it's like, oh yeah, 50% of the time, I just can't kill the heavy at the right time. And it just walks up and gets my big damage hit tanked, right? Probably the saddest thing I've ever watched in my life is having taken this and then just watching my 150 attack Rector hit a fucking, like, 2 health backline unit and then dying to a heavy. This relic is actively bad. Like every other relic in this game is like, well, it's not bad, but it's not good. This relic actively hurts you.
Yeah, like I mean, I think that most people play the game with like a, you know, I'm making my setup counter the usual setups of my opponents, right? The usual setups is high HP units in the front, weak enemies in the back, right?
Yeah,
That's what you're playing under, right? If you play this relic, it switches that up. So if for some reason you are not reliably doing that, it does in theory help you. But the issue is that when you are like set up correctly, this like will oftentimes, you know, like you said, make things worse for you.
Yeah, this is like in Awoken 2, the way you kill backline is spikes and sweep. Both of those don't care about the position of the enemies at all. And I think this is like, you take this on Will Covenant, and then once you start to understand the flow of the game, you go, wait, doesn't this just suck? 50% of the time, this just kills me? Yeah. Get out of here, Cursed Vines. Get away from me.
Yeah, go away.
Go away. Up next, Gnarled Root. Grant +1 stack of spikes each time it is applied. It's fine.
I would go above fine just because two of the best ways of generating spikes, in my opinion, in the game are the Rejuvenate trigger off of Thorned Hollow and Spreading Spores.
Yes.
Really, those are, in my opinion, like two of the like best ways of generating a lot of spikes. And this is, when you think about it, a substantial chunk of extra spikes each time it's applied.
Because they both get 2. This essentially is a 1.5 increase, right? They go from 2 to 3.
Exactly, yeah.
The thing about Gnarled Root, the reason that I say it's just fine is because spikes is very niche. You're not really applying spikes in a lot of situations where +1 is super important outside of those 2 situations where you're playing that rare card Spreading Spores or you found Thorned Hollow. With Thorned Hollow or Spreading Spores, this is insane. On average, this is worthless. However,
Yeah,
you can tunnel the unit drafts and find Thorned Hollow. One thing I will note, I guess, is if you start with this and the Awoken with spikes, 11 spikes is exactly enough to take the armor trial and kill all the 1 health units anyway.
Also very nice.
Yeah, that's like, I've never even had that happen to me, but if you get those 2 exact situations, cool. But for the most part, take this and then plan on playing spikes, because spikes kills Seraph.
Yeah, it does a good job.
Does a good job. Anything else?
No.
Alright. Petrified Crucible. Spikes deal +1 damage per stack. I feel the exact same way about Gnarled Root and Petrified Crucible.
I mean, I feel a little bit even stronger about Petrified Crucible just because it's not like this doesn't go from 10 spikes to 11. This goes from 10 spikes to basically 20 spikes. It doubles.
But that doubling doesn't really matter.
Oftentimes it doesn't, but like I don't know. It depends.
It depends, right?
If your win condition is spikes, I think it matters against.
Yeah, like if your win condition is spikes, you would be silly not to take this. But you know, if your win condition isn't spikes, this does nothing for you. It's pretty binary, right? Same thing with Gnarled Root. If your win condition is spikes or you're planning to go into spikes, you have the opportunity to take it. If you're going into spikes, take it. Otherwise, don't.
I think this is I'm more or less realizing here why I like spikes so much in Awoken is that there's like more or less, like at least artifact wise, no support outside of like, or I guess, and like spikes, in my opinion, spikes and regen combo already innately together.
Yes.
Like if you are playing Awoken, the artifacts in the Awoken pool more or less really only support either playing spikes or playing regen or combining the two, which combine together nicely.
Yeah, well, because no, that's not true. The third archetype is Sting.
Get out of here.
I mean, I'm not lying.
You're not lying. We already talked about Sting.
It's like it's easier to think about these artifacts when you don't think about Channel Song or Channel Heart, Thorn Fruit, and Thorn Casing because they suck. But yeah, you got, and like also Curse Vines. Wow, half these artifacts fucking suck.
Yeah, right.
This is horrible.
And then more or less the other half like really work well with a spike / regen build.
Yes. Shall we go on?
I'm ready.
Priory's Cloak. When a friendly unit is healed, deal damage to the front enemy unit equal to the amount healed. Same as Restoration Detonation, this does not do damage on overhealing. It's fine.
Yeah, it is like just fine.
It turns all of your healing spells into Restoration Detonation. It's fine.
It's a good effect if you're playing Awoken. Take this.
Yeah.
I guess. But like if you're not like really like there's definitely gonna be better options for you probably.
Playing Restore to do 2 damage to the frontline enemy unit is very bad. Don't make that your plan, but if you have some good healing in mind, sure, right? It's fine.
Yeah, I would just say this is a nice bonus, and Awoken have trouble dealing with heavies, so
yeah,
it helps whittle them down.
Agree.
But it's not like it should not be your game plan.
I agree. Next.
Yeah.
The only relic in this entire set that is good agnostic of being Awoken. Root Split Mask. Apply Rooted to enemy units when they enter the floor below the Pyre Room. This is one of only 2 ways to apply Rooted in this game. Rooted stops enemies from moving at the end of the round. But that's not all it does. Rooted, if you read the text here, prevents the next time a unit would be moved between floors. Which means that if you try to move them with a Drip Fall, it just consumes the Rooted. If you try to cave them in, it consumes all of their Rooted and they don't move. Important thing to note, I didn't know that the first time I played around with this because there's only 2 ways to root enemies in the whole game. Don't try to drop enemies when you can. This is good.
I mean, it is important as well because you didn't read it. Bosses are immune to this.
Oh yeah, bosses are immune.
You can't like stall the. What would even be like? What would happen? Like you would stall the Relentless, so you would finish the Relentless and you get another round to put more units down afterwards. Like
that'd be sweet.
It wouldn't even be that good.
Imagine if all your units on the top 4 are endless. You just get a second round of Relentless.
That is true, I guess.
But it doesn't work that way. Yeah. This essentially just gives you a second round. Like you root enemies in the top 4 with your Spike Boy, and the enemies just take twice as much damage from your Spike Boy.
And I know you love bringing this up, so I'm sorry I'm stealing this from you. But if a boss moves up and you rooted the enemies below it, it kills the boss. Or it kills the enemies, not the boss.
It kills the boss.
The boss dies. He's so sad that he left behind his good friend.
He dies of guilt.
Yes. No, but yeah, the units get left behind. If you root someone, the boss leaves them behind.
That will typically not matter with Root Split Mask because most of the enemies in most situations as Awoken, they're going to die in that Relentless combat just to like spikes or whatever, but good to know.
Yeah.
The boss will just walk up into your Pyre Room and kill everyone else. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Up next, Sap Tap. The first time each turn a friendly unit is healed, draw 1.
Now I obviously know this voice, but could you just remind the people how this interacts with regen?
Yes, of course. Regen triggers at the end of your turn. You then draw that card, and it is held in your hand until the start of next turn. So it does work with regen to draw if you have no other way of healing. It'll work. Like you'll start a new turn, and the relic will be at 0 of 1.
And does it actually have to heal the unit similar to like
no
detonation?
It does not.
Okay.
If you're over healing, if this triggers similar to Rejuvenate, any healing, because even if it's healing for 0, it's considered healing. This relic is card draw. Card draw in this game is rare. Card draw in this game is good. If you have no healing cards, don't take this. And I think I'm not 100% on this because I've never done this, but I think that if you had Petrified Heart, this card would never draw you a card, or this relic would never draw you a card.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've never had that either, so I can't
don't take Petrified Heart if you're the Awoken. Just save yourself the trouble.
Yeah. Don't
put yourself in that position. Yeah, draw cards or draw relics are good. This is a draw relic. It's good, and we went over the interactions. Check. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. Bloating Fungus. Regen restores +1 health per stack. This relic is also fine.
Yeah, it's the spike one, but regen is double.
Yeah. Cool. More regen healing is good.
Yes.
The most of these artifacts, I feel like there's not a whole lot to say about these outside of like Cursed Vines and Root Split Mask. They're fine.
Yeah.
If you're playing a lot of regen cards, take this. If you're not, don't. Anything else?
I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, I have literally nothing to say about like these last two artifacts. All right, and that's the Awoken. I think the Awoken artifacts all suck except for one. Outside, okay, you know, with outside of the context of playing an Awoken focused deck.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
On average, all of these.
Of course, only one of them has broad application, and it's the mask.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, compare that to Hellhorn, you got like what, 2, 3, 4 that have broad application.
Well, like one only has application in one other clan, which is the hammer, Railforged or whatever, right?
Yeah, but you can pick up armor cards. Like if you're getting these, you're getting them as Hellhorn, and I think that picking up and splashing in armor is better than splashing in regen or spikes.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, that's my take on it. But you know, they're still fine, right? Because a lot of these are, you know, don't downplay it. From my part, I'm definitely downplaying a little bit. A lot of these relics are like, this is game winning if you can build around it with Awoken.
Yes, I agree.
This is just further proof that Awoken plays very poorly with all the other clans.
I agree, but I do not dislike this sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, full sending on Awoken and playing nothing else from their secondary clan is fine. Alright, shall we move on to Stygian?
Yes.
Stygian has some interesting artifacts in here. Start off with a Forgotten Name. When you play the third spell of the turn, all cards gain +1 magic power for the rest of this battle. It's okay.
It's pretty easy to get like +5 to 10 magic power with this, which is, we said before that the Temper Talisman was like really good.
Yeah, and this is fine.
Yeah, like the 0 magic power at the start is definitely a big deal. Like if we compare it to Tempered Talisman,
yeah.
But like,
for the most part, I feel the same about Tempered Talisman as I feel about Forgotten Name. Magic power, good, but you're not gonna win the game off of this. This isn't gonna scale crazily because this only triggers once per turn.
Yes.
You can't. This isn't like Shuriken Kunai from Slay the Spire, where you can get like +10 per turn. This will only give you 1 per turn. At best.
Important thing to note. Also, because of the nature of this game with card draw, it's, you know, you're never getting, you know, even if it didn't work that way, you're almost never getting +10 triggers in a turn or whatever. Like that's never gonna happen, basically.
Yeah. You know.
Honestly, how do you feel about it if it did not have a limit?
I would feel the exact same. Like you said, you maybe trigger this twice. It's uncommon that this gives you more than 1 magic power per turn anyway. It's fine, right? You look at your deck and you go, how often do I play 3 cards? Often, or 3 spells? Often enough. Does the magic power matter? Sure. This is probably the best with Icicle, worse with like, I don't know, Frozen Lance, because everything sucks with that card.
Don't make fun of Frozen Lance anymore.
It makes Ritual of Battle look like a good card. Shall we move on?
I'm ready.
Alright, Cuddlebeard. Grant +2 stacks of Frostbite each time it is applied. Frostbite does not decay. How sad are you about the fact that Cuddlebeard is just Resonant Shard and Collection of Tales put in one?
You shut up.
Isn't that depressing?
Yeah.
Cuddlebeard's...
It's not depressing because I also like Frostbite.
Yeah,
so
Frostbite's fun.
It's not like I'm jealous. I like Frostbite already.
Alright, Mr. Rage.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, this has applications outside of just playing Frostbite. This is good if you're using an Endless Hot Shark because he'll kill everything. He does 3 Frostbite. If you have Cuddlebeard, he does 5, which kills the 5 health units in Seraph, the Temperament, which is the sap one. That's good. But typically...
That's already good enough, basically.
Yeah, but as I think about it, when is he ever not getting hit twice in that round anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. Mostly this is just the Frostbite doesn't decay. That's the big part of it. Yeah,
there's so much is really nice about it. Like,
yeah, it's
+2 per application. Unless like your only source of generation is like Tethys, like +2 isn't that big of a deal then, I guess. But it's like when you're like Cold Kalia multi-striking or Hot Shark revenge triggering,
incanting the totem. It's good. Yeah, Cuddlebeard's great.
I wouldn't use the totem that much. But
I mean, desperate times. If you're playing Frostbite, this is good. Outside of Frostbite, this is still pretty good.
Voix, have you ever used this with Hoarfrost Effigy? Like, maybe that would answer our question about Railhammer.
I have not used this with Hoarfrost Effigy.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Alright. Up next, Founding Seal. Incant abilities trigger an additional time. It's good.
I don't get that much to begin with, but like, it is good. It's a couple incants.
Yeah, you know. Oh, that's why he was gaining 24 armor per turn. I had Founding Seal when I had that Hot Shark with Railhammer. That's right.
That's 34. You went from 17 to 34 now?
Yeah, look, it was a long time ago. I played a lot of runs in this game. It's really good. I like this relic. It makes your totems better. It really makes that sap totem go insane.
Yeah, I think you need to have. I would need a totem in my deck, I think, first before taking this.
Yeah, but this relic turns the beefy shark, the one that gets incant +3, into, he goes from being like mediocre to actually pretty good if you're incanting enough. Getting a Founding Seal does maybe give you a reason to take Conduit Tethys and try to build purely around incant. It makes the incant sirens almost playable.
Get out! Stop it.
Look, I really like the full incant build where you put the incant armor totem, you put the beefy shark with the armor, and you put the incant siren on a row. I like that build. I think it sucks, but I really like it. It's probably my favorite bad build in this game.
Okay.
And Founding Seal is crucial for that. So I like taking this just because I think it's fun. I like incant as a mechanic. It feels good. Anything you'd like to add?
No.
Alright. Icicle Fracture. At the end of the turn, apply Frozen to a random card in your hand. I would make a decent case for this being one of the best relics in the game.
I think that's fair.
This is a really good relic.
It's an extremely strong ability.
Oh my god. Like, what do you even say? It's just so good. Freezing cards. The only thing I can say against this is you don't want to play this and Cuddle Hex because you start freezing too many cards. I had this happen to me recently.
You can't play them all?
No, like you stop being able to draw because you have 6 cards frozen in hand. Yeah, and you can't play them all.
You're drawing less.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
I understand the issues this can have, but like that's a seldom issue.
Yeah, and like freezing a kill spell right before a spell weakness relentless round is like, this has won me the game. It's great. Take this relic. Anything you'd like to add?
I want to keep in mind here with this too, it's not like it doesn't freeze it at the start, it freezes it at the end. So if you want a specific card frozen, it might not always give you, but it's very easy to play out your hand.
Yes.
And then the card you want frozen, or at least have like, I don't know, like a 50-50 chance at getting the card you want frozen.
Yeah, I agree.
Even in the worst case where this is always freezing the worst card in your hand, it's still good because you're not getting that card again on the second cycle.
Yes. And this will never freeze Scourges or Blights.
That's cool.
It is cool. Moving on. Another relic that I would make a good argument for as the best relic in this game. Rules of Containment. Enemy units enter with Frostbite 2. I like Jack Strips, and this is Jack Strips with an upside.
Or a downside if you have literally no Frostbite.
No, there's no downside, because it still does the 2 damage. It's Jack Strips with the only...
Then 1. Yeah,
and Jack Strips just does 2.
2 and then 2 and then 2 as they keep moving up.
Oh, I guess you're right. But
so there is in theory a quote-unquote downside.
Yeah, but like the upside...
I agree. I agree that I think Rules of Containment is... Because you're playing Stygian, all you need is like any Frostbite.
Or Cuddlebeard, and then this just kills everything that enters your train, right? Every backliner dies after 2 rounds.
It's good. It's good.
Really good. Okay. Love this relic. The only downside you can argue for is that since Frostbite triggers at the end of turn, you may not be able to get Harvest triggers on the second floor, but you just put them down on the first floor, right? But it works worse with Harvest because the backline does get to take that first turn against your Harvest unit, but that's a very minor situation, right? You can live without those Harvest triggers.
I agree.
Yeah, I love these cards. I love Stygian's relics, man. Surprise.
I hope you love the next one.
Sigiled Seaweed. 50% chance to apply silence when an enemy unit enters your train.
Hello, cleansing water.
Hey, no, this is yeah. So this is cleansing water with another active downside, right? This can silence the collector and then you don't get money off of him.
Yeah, I will say though that there's a lot more purple unit boys than there are buff units that are relevant.
If you're going against Seraph the Chase, this is worth picking up because even stopping like one Pyre Wings from Ember draining you is super worth it.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it's weird, right? Silence is weird. Just hope you don't miss any collectors off of this, right? That's all. Keep that in mind. Measure the risks. This is probably better to pick up later. Also, you know, similar to Unnamed Tome, 50% chance that this just bodies the shit out of that dude who revenges to gain +1 attack, right?
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
It's really fun. But, you know, pick up Unnamed Tome instead. You'll probably see it. Up next?
Or pick neither, probably.
Yeah, I mean, no, Unnamed Tome is worth picking up one of, I think, in most situations.
I don't know.
Every single Seraph has a unit that's worth silencing at least one round of, and it's nice. It removes itself. I like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Up next, Tethys' Scales. 50% chance to apply spell weakness when an enemy unit enters your train.
What is this?
What?
What are you doing?
What is
50% chance for 1 spell weakness.
The card that applies 1 spell weakness for 0 already sucks.
And like it's the biggest use case for spell weaknesses on bosses, and you can't even use this on the main bosses because they don't enter the train.
Yeah, like your best hope for this is it hits heavies and then you just get to like pop a heavy, hopefully. Like that's the best use case. You go 50-50 on hitting heavies and you don't care if this hits backline.
Give me the gold.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's like okay. If you're lucky, you'll kill a heavy or 2 off of this, I guess. But yeah,
it's sort of like, you know, this is when I like 100% agree with like your philosophy of like don't plan on this working. If you're building your plan around this being a thing that you're relying on,
oh god,
you are doomed.
What happened to your run?
It's just like you can't rely on a 50-50
No.
to give you a spell weakness to help you win.
No.
Like maybe like what does it have to do? Like how would you change it to make this like usable? What about like 100% chance like that everyone enters with 1 spell weakness? Is that too strong?
Yeah, but like what they could do then is they could just make it 100% chance that the front enemy unit enters with spell weakness. If this card just said
I agree with that.
The front enemy that enters your train that has spell weakness on it, this relic is way better.
I agree with that. I agree with maybe like what about 50% chance to apply 3 stacks of spell weakness or something like that? Like I don't know.
I mean, honestly,
how do you make this not so sad?
They could probably just make this apply spell weakness when an enemy unit enters your train, and it's still like passable. It would maybe it's like bordering on too strong, right? But look, I think that
I wouldn't even say too strong. I think that's like fair if you asked me.
Yeah, well,
I'd have to play with it and see and figure out. But
if you hold over a good damage spell, then you're like if you hold over Helical Crystallis with that, then you're able to just kill every single heavy that enters your train. But you know, it's hard for me to argue against balancing cards in this way because I don't know. Have you seen fucking Shrouded in Smoke or whatever that card is, the stealth card?
Mm-hmm.
You put holdover on that thing and you just get like auto wins against Seraph. 1 single card, and you can have like a train steward kill Seraph if everything goes right.
I don't know about that.
You know, you're gonna train steward asterisk, but still, I think that they could buff Tethys' Scales. Anyway, Up next, Titan's Claws. At the end of your turn, frozen cards are reduced to 0 energy. This is good if you have frozen ways to freeze your cards, and it is bad if you do not.
Yeah, I really like Icicle Fracture. I've gotten like, you know, getting those 2 at the same time is just like beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Then you don't even have to worry about like the Cuttlefish, right?
Yeah.
If you're worried about not being able to play enough cards, guess what? They're free.
Yeah. It's good.
It's not just 1 frozen card. It's all frozen cards.
Yes.
Reduced to 0.
It's
hooray.
Good. Yeah, hooray. This works with Permafrost as well, right? So Permafrost a 3-cost card.
Permafrost, Shadow Siege.
If oh my god, wait, you just need to pick up Preserve and then Shadow Siege.
Yeah. It's just that easy.
It's just that easy. Anything else you want to say about this card? A relic?
No.
Alright. Token of a Traitor. Playing a spell deals 2 damage to a random enemy unit on that floor.
Yeah. I agree with
It's like
Wish it was 3.
Huh?
Wish it was 3 damage.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that it's random, right? If this was back enemy,
true.
that would be too good, but like, you know, randomly hitting a heavy 4 times and then getting walked over by a fucking damage unit makes me go, okay, I hate this. And also, much like a lot of other random effects like this, it's worse against major bosses, because one of the major bosses on that floor, puke.
And like I said, I wish it was 3, because then at least the the 15 3 units that Seraph is summoning would die in one hit. When it does hit them, now it takes like 2 to 3 hits to kill anything.
Yeah.
You need to play a lot of cells for this to be like useful for you during the Seraph fight.
Yeah, it's not good.
But it's not bad, and it's like okay early still.
Yeah, you can still take this, right? In the early fights, it's still fine.
Mm-hmm.
It does kill a lot of stuff. If you're lucky, it'll kill a lot of stuff. It's a way to kill backline after you. Like, if you have a way to kill the heavies, but you're early on and you don't have a way to kill the 1 health units, you know, play some healing spells on them and they die or something like that. So it's fine. Pick it up, I guess.
It's definitely that big fall off once you get to the later game.
Yeah, agree. But early on, sure. But, like, also, because you're passing on something that's probably a little better than this. Up next, Totem Fragment. Apply spell weakness 2 to enemy units when they enter the floor below the pyro room.
I didn't know this existed until this moment. Give me a little bit longer to think about it.
Alright, I'll take the lead. This is fine. Spell weakness 2 is enough to kill most heavies with a spell at the point in the game that it's going to be applied. You know, Helical Crystallis will kill most of the heavies in 1 or 2. Actually, does it kill every heavy in 2? No, it'll do 150. Because it'll do 25 twice. If you throw a plus 10 on it, it'll probably kill every heavy. They should be damaged when they walk up there anyway. This is a good way to finish off heavies in Stygian.
Yeah, that seems about right.
That's it, right? It's fine. Eat your heart out, Tethys' scales.
It's like literally 4 times better.
Yeah.
But it, you know, there's a cost to it being on the third floor, so there's that. But it is 4 times more potent.
Yeah. Plus, you can use this with Ice Empire to just like blast some idiot for 270.
Yeah, that's cool.
One moment. Closing thoughts on Stygian then?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like they have like even less usefulness outside of Stygian than the Awoken did.
I disagree. Mainly because
I guess like Icicle is amazing no matter what.
Rules of Containment as well.
It is pretty good, yeah. And
yeah.
other than that, I think
yeah, you can maybe make Titan's Claw good. But yeah,
Titan's Claw, if you already have like Icicle Fracture,
or if you just put Permafrost on an important spell.
That's true.
But yeah,
okay.
Overall, Stygian is I think they're good. Like they have some good relics. They have some relics that are only nichely good as well. Like spell weakness doesn't make much sense outside of Stygian.
And then they have Tethys' scales.
Yeah, what the fuck is this? It's okay. Probably. Shall we?
Yeah,
Umbra? Umbra, you'll be shocked to hear this. It's a lot of morsels.
Yeah, it's a lot of morsel stuff.
Alright. Abandoned Antumbra starts us off. At the start of turn, add a common or uncommon morsel unit to your hand. So this just is like Shade Splitter for free at the start of every round. Fine.
Like it is fine.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you're in morsels, hooray, it's an extra morsel.
If you're not, cool, +3 damage or someone to tank a hit for you.
Just try to play it no matter what, I guess, because if it's a stinky morsel, you don't want it.
Yeah, you don't want to redraw that thing.
In. Yeah.
The most important thing.
Oh God, Voyix, you okay?
I am okay. Now I had to cough.
Good. Okay, good.
Excuse me. The most important thing is make sure you have space to play this morsel. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, Chain of Gems. Apply damage shield 2 to the first friendly unit summoned each turn. This is probably the best relic that I hate the most.
Yeah, because you gotta play units in the correct order.
Yeah, I always fuck this up.
Uh-huh.
It's a really strong effect, being able to just like have a morsel take 3 hits for you instead of 1, having damage shield 2 to give Penumbra a little more time to get started. Cool. But you gotta make sure you play these in the right order.
Yeah, it's basically a never skip, but like just, you know, just use your brain.
Yeah, it's not easy, but make sure you apply your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
I have nothing else.
Oh yeah, me neither. Up next, Commemorative Spike. At the start of battle, summon a Morsel Miner on each floor. Bad, be careful, look out. If you're playing Trample Penumbra, this makes your Penumbra unplayable sometimes.
Yep, yes, watch out.
It is.
Make sure you have enough space.
Yeah. I've had runs where I took this and then went, oh god, I can't play Penumbra anymore.
Yeah, I have also had times where it's ruined me.
Don't do it. But like otherwise,
I wouldn't say don't do it. There's times where this is amazing.
Yeah, of course.
For the record, just do the math.
Yeah, one of the best things for this is Alloyed Construct, since he always gets that morsel on the first turn. He gets to have his first turn. Like, he can be put on second floor and you can guarantee he gets started up. But, like, yeah. You know. Watch out, dude. Trample Penumbra hates this relic a lot.
And also make sure you are, you know, sizing your making sure you have like the room upgrades appropriate as well then, right?
Yeah,
like,
playing yourself
I've had
out.
times where I've had this like from like I think I got it from oh no, did I get it? I don't think I got it from a major combat because the major combats gave you the enhancements instead of relics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've had times where I think I got this right after not taking a room upgrade, but then increasing Penumbra's size.
Mm-hmm.
And then like not realizing that I've now made it literally impossible just to ever play him until I get another room upgrade up.
Yeah.
It's just be careful.
Be careful. And, you know, don't suicide your units to throw them down on the bottom floor to try and get that morsel miner. It isn't worth it.
Don't be afraid to let them die. Like, if they die, and this is just, like, only a morsel for your top floor gorge or whatever, like, that's great still.
Yeah, it's still good. Anything else?
This does have I guess, an anti-synergy with Chain of Gems. I believe that the summon of the morsel miners one of them actually gets the Chain of Gems.
You are correct, and this does have a positive synergy with Hell's Banners because you this gives you 3 energy for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point, and this does trigger for anything that involves summoning units. I forgot about that. Good one.
Yeah, keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
But watch out.
Yeah, but also watch out for Trample Penumbra. He hates it.
To ruin you when you take Trample Penumbra.
He hates it so much. Alright. Fossilized Fangs. Gorge abilities trigger an additional time. Yeah.
Hooray.
Cool. This is insane with Overgorger.
Yeah, that's true.
Good with Lifesteal Boy. Good with the Fuel Boy.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Good, like, it's good. If you're playing something that gorges, doubling that effect is good, usually. Honestly, the only Gorge unit in the game I can think of that is, like, mediocre with this is probably Shadow Eater.
Shadow Eater, maybe the robot, because I don't think he needs that many. It helps on his Relentless, but like he's gonna be your frontline. He doesn't have that much HP, so he probably wouldn't even Relentless long enough to use all of his fuel. Yeah, unless you've been like just barely keeping him afloat with fuel.
Yeah.
But other than those two, it's pretty sweet.
My first Umbra run ever, I started with Fossilized Fangs and then had Morsel Maker, Morsel Master, and Overgorger in the top 4, and he was gaining like too much attack every round.
Too much attack.
It was ridiculous. That's the nuts. Anyway, shall we?
Yeah.
Mask of Penumbra. When you summon your first morsel unit each turn, draw 1. All right. Let me see if I can parse how I want to say my feelings towards this relic. Ahem.
It's bad.
Draw.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Wait, no. Yeah, wait. Draw good. Yep, that's it. Print.
I'm referring to my notes here as well, and for some reason, they're notes about speedrunning Super Mario 64, but they also say for some reason that card draw is good. That's pretty weird.
Does it say Bombo Skip on there 100 times too?
Yeah, stuff about Bombo Skip. Yeah. Don't worry.
Can you Bombo Skip with card draw? You think?
I think it can't hurt.
Yeah. Card draw is good. Wow, crazy, controversial. This relic is good. Wow.
Yeah, like it's good. This is a card you should probably pick up no matter what.
Yeah.
It's not insane. It's not gonna carry you or anything. But like, if you're playing Umbra, you have Shade Splitters.
Yeah. And
like,
maybe
it turns Shade Splitter from like pretty bad to like, hey, this is a usable card now.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, Abandoned Antumbra is just like draw a card for free every turn as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Card draw good. Anything else you want to say?
I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Mind Jacks. +2 capacity on the middle floor.
I hate extra space.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, it's like I see extra space in this game and I just go, fuck.
I'm angry now.
Was having a good run, but then they gave me more space. Now I can play more morsels.
I'm referring back to my speedrunning notes.
Okay.
And again, you won't believe it. It just keeps saying card draw is good.
Wait, what?
I hate more space now. Like,
does that mean that more space is bad?
It can't be bad.
No, this is great, right? More space for morsels. Wow. There's no world where this is bad.
Yeah, it gives you like you don't often set up your gorge setup on the second floor, but A, you can if you want to, I guess, and B, it gives you more space if you're somehow producing so many morsels that there's no more room on your gorge floor. And like if you put trample, like it's not uncommon to put trample penumbra on trample. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Trample
trample
penumbra.
penumbra.
You put that on the second floor. This will probably give you enough room to put like one or two morsels behind them.
Yeah, there's one thing I need to say about mine jacks. There's one thing you need to note about this. Do not tunnel all of your units on the middle floor against haste.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Like, just don't autopilot, tunnel a bunch of units middle floor, and then go, oh. As the boss just walks past you and auto kills them all. That's it.
Hell yeah.
Mine jacks can bait you. Anything else?
No.
Alright. Up next, Refined Void. Friendly units enter with lifesteal 2.
Why do all my notes just keep saying good things are good?
Yeah, this is good. Wow. Crazy. Once again, lifesteal, good. This buys your penumbra 2 extra rounds. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's like, you can... Wow, Umbra is really good. Like, look at all of these. They're so good.
Yeah, they've got a couple like maybe
have, like,
outside of archetype it misses effects, but like other than that, like they're gonna be probably good no matter what.
Yeah, Refined Void. I would argue that Refined Void is definitely better than Chain of Gems, as long as the unit isn't getting one shot. Plus, this applies to everyone.
Keep in mind that like Refined Void is every unit, whereas Chain of Gems is the first unit.
Yeah, Chain of Gems has a little more use for like tanking 3 hits with morsels, but Refined Void, I guess Chain of Gems has more like reusability for like defending Penumbra, right? Because you can just keep giving Penumbra 3 damage shield morsels, or versus Refined Void, which only gives them 2 rounds. In the early game, Refined Void is better. In the late game, Refined Void is better. It's better, I think, but it's close.
It's better,
right?
but they're both good.
Yeah, they're both good. Up next, unless you want to say anything else other than lifesteal good.
No.
Okay. Shade Lamp. The first time each turn an enemy unit dies, add 2 morsel units to hand. This is any morsel at all.
Okay. That's the only card that just has any morsel on it, huh? Like it can be common or rare, huh?
Yeah, I think you might be right, because I think it's typically rubble or morsel minor. This is okay. Make sure you can play the morsels though, right? Make sure you have space for 2 morsels a turn.
Yeah, make sure you can play the morsels, and it'll be better if you have ways of actually killing enemies before combat. It'll work, I guess, the same way like the Sap thing did.
Yeah,
Where if you kill them in combat, they'll get put in your hand. I guess there's an issue of potentially killing too many, and them like, if you kill 10 enemy units in a turn, you miss your next draw.
No, this is only
No?
the first enemy.
Oh, I can't read. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It happens.
Oh, that's pretty cool then. Never mind.
Yeah,
I like
this is just 2 morsels. Morsels are good. Make sure you have space.
Yeah.
So let me condense the Umbra review so far. Morsels are good. Make sure you have space, or this is good.
Yeah.
Now,
This is one that's even pretty, like a lot of these are pretty, like they have a useful effect even if you're not like playing a morsel build, because like even outside of morsel builds, getting morsels is good because you can always use them to like just take a hit.
yeah,
They're almost like a 0 cost spell shield one as long as you have room, or not spell shield, damage shield.
and lifesteal, mind jacks, extra draw, like probably Mask of Penumbra outside of morsel builds is bad, but that's it. Up next, Teeth of Gold. Deal 2 damage to the rear enemy unit when a morsel unit is eaten. Anyway, this relic fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's
one of the worst. I hate this so much.
It's not great. It doesn't have the issue that Token of the Traitor has, but the issue that it does have is that this happens after combat.
Yes, so it's not good for that reason.
Yeah, you want to when you can kill the backline first, or you want to have a unit that like doesn't care about getting hit, like a Hot Shark or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Very often, if you're playing a morsel build, the unit in the front doesn't want to get hit by backline.
Yes.
You want to clear the backline before you get to that guy.
Yep.
Because that's how you keep him alive from taking too much damage all in one turn.
Yeah, like your Gorge unit is probably going to be your boss killer. You don't want him getting hit by the backline. Even in the case, like, it's just so bad. This is bad as well because it'll hit the boss, right? If you're against a major boss, it'll just hit the floating boss and do 16 damage to them, right?
Yeah.
This does trigger like 8 times if you morsel spike a morsel. This triggers the 8 times eaten, but that's not.
I watched you do that against a boss one time.
Yeah, I did 16 damage to Seraph with that. I went, wow, I fucking hate you, Teeth of Gold.
And I will say again, like 2 damage is a weird point because like at the end game 3 damage would be so much better.
Yes.
It's really unfortunate that they made it 2 and not 3.
Yeah, but like even at 3, I would still say this is fucking garbage. Get out of here.
I wouldn't say it's fucking garbage. I would say it's not good. At 2 damage, it's trash.
It's trash.
Yeah.
It's very bad. I don't like it.
Okay.
Finally, in the Umbra set, Winged Technology. Morsel units get damage shield 1.
Yeah, you know how before we were talking about using morsels to like take hits for you?
Yeah.
They take more hits with this.
Yeah.
This is the application for what this does. Like,
Yeah.
how good is that effect? It's not bad.
And occasionally you can like have them tank a hit for a unit and then also still get eaten. You know. Good.
Not super relevant. Not super relevant. Like very often you'll just be using this to like I don't know. Like you're in the early setup of the fight. You don't have like a good first floor setup. So you're just putting morsels down to take a bunch of hits while you get that first floor resolved.
Yeah.
But it's good at that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Damage shield is okay. The only thing that you can really say about this that's bad is like it does occasionally stop you from like playing a morsel and then killing them with Antumbra Assault to generate extra morsels.
That's a very like small window.
I don't know if you have Antumbra Assault, you may want to think twice about picking this up because it's you can still sacrifice them, but you can't Antumbra Assault them.
I mean, I think like there's more often you'll be able just to pick off an enemy unit. Like obviously not every time.
It's like probably like once a combat you miss out on 2 morsels and you're stuck with just 1, and that's still fine.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts on Umbra artifacts?
A good set of like stuff that's good, okay no matter what, and really good if you're Penumbra, or if you're really good if you're like
Morsels.
Umbra focusing on Gorge or morsels, etc.
The only ones you really have to look out for are Commemorative Spike because it can ruin you, and Teeth of Gold because I think I would rather have $25 than this.
No, it's kind of like cool because you melted down the teeth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Alright, finally, because we already did the event artifacts, Melting Remnant. Starting us off here, Combustible Wax. Grant plus 3 stacks of burnout each time it is applied. Yeah.
I feel like this falls off later because I feel like if this is a good effect for you and you are in the late game and you're like, oh man, I really need that extra +3, it's sort of a what are you doing moment, right?
So this is what the fuck?
What?
Okay. Someone just made a weird noise outside. What's new? Combustible Wax is good in my opinion if you're playing Burnout Rector and bad otherwise, right?
Yeah.
Because this turns your Lady of the Reformed into giving +4 burnout instead of +1, which means that by the end of a combat round, like when you get to that Relentless Seraph combat, if you have her in front of Rector, he's going to be at like 54 burnout. He's going to die of health loss.
This is like maybe one of the few cases where like, or I don't know. Like I feel like more like, I don't know how to say this exactly, but it seems excessive. It seems excessive. Like I don't think you need that much burnout. I think Rector will usually die from damage before he runs out of burnout, even if you just have a Lady of the Reform there. But I don't know.
It's excessive, but it's also like fine because
I think where this shines is the early game when you have burnout Rector before you find that Lady or before you find that good way to keep his. It's just like you're guaranteed to basically have Rector fight bosses in the early game now because of this. As long as you put him on floor 1.
Because I guess we should clarify, similar to how Railhammer works, when the unit comes into play, it's counted as applying burnout. So the unit comes in at burnout 6. If you reform a unit with no burnout, they come in at burnout 3. Things like that, right? Mm-hmm. It has a lot of applications like that. I think it's good. But yeah, I think the best point that you made there was that like your Rector does become a burnout 6 in the early game, which is huge.
And I do think I am of the opinion that this does more or less nothing for you against Seraph. This is purely like for helping you out in the early game, but it like single-handedly like makes burnout Rector the best champion.
Yeah. I would also say this is a lot better on Lower Covenant when you can still kill Seraph with drafts. When Lady draft is a winning play still.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Up next, Encased Ember. Gain 5 energy when a tomb unit dies.
I mean, like, I think what you're supposed to do is have like Explosive and Tomb Boy, and then give him Endless, and then have this relic, and it's like pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's basically it.
Yeah, but like, that's kind of hard to set up.
It's not that hard to set up.
I know, but like, it's a little hard to set up.
If you get
Seems
this
like...
relic and you have a tomb, put Endless on a tomb, and that tomb becomes your energy relic, and you just take 2 draw and you go insane. Or like draw and space, right? You never need to take energy.
Yeah.
That's good.
This is true.
That's it.
Is this what makes the Molten, whatever it's called, Molten Entrapment, a S tier card?
Yeah, because it becomes an energy relic, I guess.
There you go. We did it.
Yeah, Molten Entrapment.
Pyregro is back to being the worst card.
Yeah. Get fucked, Pyregro.
Okay.
Energy good. Yeah?
No, I think I was going to ask if you had anything.
No. Nothing for me. Up next, Exploding Candle. Deal 5 damage to enemy units when a burnout unit dies. Big fan of this candle.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to turn your dregs into Fiery Imp. What's his name?
Molting Imp.
Molting Imp. Okay, Molten Imp. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's good for that.
One of the biggest problems that the Melting Remnant faces is killing backline. They have no good way of doing it. This relic is that if you throw Endless on a burnout unit, you just always kill backline forever, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That's it. Anything else you want to say?
I have nothing else. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. Actually, I will say, this does turn... if you have Votivary and you give her the burnout from the shop, this also is like insane on her. Basically, any way you can combo burnout and Endless with this Exploding Candle is just really good. It's the same as Endless Hot Shark, but maybe a little better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Alright. Up next, Flicker's Liquor. Probably the best relic in the game for naming. Flicker's Liquor is very fun to say.
Mm-hmm.
When you play a unit, a random card in hand is reduced to 0 for the turn. Energy. Good.
Yeah, this basically lets you play your whole hand.
Yes. Especially since dregs cost 0. It works with morsels as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is good.
You know what else works with this in Umbra?
Shadow Siege?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of the ways you can cheat energy really well.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Everyone likes it. Everyone likes this. Everyone's friends with Flicker's Liquor.
Yeah, who doesn't like this? That's it.
Yeah.
Up next, Melting Spout. Tomb units get plus 30. What the fuck is this?
I fucking hate this.
What is this piece of shit? Who made this?
I want to see your manager.
I want to talk to the person who made this relic. I would say, hey, I really like your game. Thanks for making this really cool game. And that's all I would say to them because I love this game. And then I would go on stream.
You would think about, you'd tweet later. You would think about Melting Spout.
I would tweet out like, yeah, I just met the guy who made Melting Spout. Am I right, fellas? Fucking own. Like, this relic sucks. What use case does this have?
Okay, I thought of one.
Okay.
Just now. I already don't like it.
Oh god.
What's the guy who eats souls? His name? Harvester of Souls. Is not it? Maybe.
Yeah.
Collector of Souls. Something.
Harvester
like
of Souls. I think. Let me look it up.
Devourer.
Devourer of Death. His name is Devourer of
go.
Death. Here are all the tomb units on screen.
So the plan is you use him as your main tank. You give him 30 HP with this, and you just stack more HP on him.
Sorry, I almost threw up.
Other than that, I can't think of anything.
A fun fact.
I'll just break it down for you in plain English. You want your tomb units to die.
Tomb units die.
Why would you give them more HP?
It's like, and the thing is, plus 30 health is such a low amount of health. It's like, what does this do for you in the late game? They still die in one turn.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
It does give Formless Child an extra 30 health, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think like the only and it's not a good use case. The only use case is the Devourer of Death. you just have him sit down and you have like I don't know, maybe you're playing sketches. You're playing sketches and you give him 30 HP so he doesn't die right away if he ends up being in the front. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe I don't know.
You know, whenever we sit here and we're like, oh man, this is such garbage, right? Whenever we're here and I'm like, oh my god, I fucking hate this so much. I just, in the back of my mind, I try to play devil's advocate. I try to think of what someone is going to say. Like, anyone. What could someone say?
Like, what were they trying to do when they made this,
yeah,
right?
What is someone going to say as like oh, I had Melting Spout and it did really well for me in this situation? I can't think of one.
Yeah.
In the early game, your tomb units dying is what you want to do to trigger their... I guess this is good with Molten Encasement, since Molten Encasement's death is to protect your other units, so Molten Encasement maybe protects your other units, but that card's bad. And that's it. All of the other ones want to die, right? Every other tomb on death does something. I guess okay, I've actually figured it out. I've got it.
Yeah.
Back to Devourer of Death.
Yeah, okay.
He has 5 health. If he's in the back and he's your major plan to killing the boss because something went wrong, and your main plan to killing the boss is somehow enough things die on this floor to trigger Devourer of Death, killing the boss, you have to take this so that he doesn't die to sweep.
Okay, you know what? You're stupid.
Yeah, or...
like, that's so bad.
I guess it's like you're playing Intent on Death and you don't want your Formless Child to die, and you want to Intent on Death units back with Formless Child, and you don't want to die to sweep.
That makes more sense to me, but like, that's such a... God damn, it's just small... Like,
yeah.
What a terrible trash combo.
In conclusion, if this relic is good for you, if you've ever played this relic, please explain to me how. How did you take this and go, oh thank god, Melting Spout? What happened? Because I have never seen this situation.
I mean, like, keep in mind that I guess, like, in theory, at like extremely low covenant, like 1 or 0, like you can, I guess, reasonably make a tomb unit a tank. Because at that point, nothing matters.
Yeah, but
sure.
you could also just like take any other unit and give them plus 25 from the shop.
No.
I guess for my tomb only run of Covenant 0, I'll take Melting Spout. I think this is the worst relic in the game.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Like all of these other ones that we pointed out is like, this is really bad. Like, what the fuck?
I will say, like, it can't. I mean, it can hurt you.
I guess Cursed Vines, right?
But like, there's like, there's like Volatile Gauge and like Cursed Vines where like the downside can be much lower sometimes for you.
But I think there's like a case you can think of for those where it's like, what do you do with this?
Yeah, there's this card like does like almost always hurt you a little bit.
Who did this? It hurt me emotionally.
Okay.
Okay. Up next, Memorial Fund. Gain 5 gold when a friendly unit dies. Hey, this is another relic that has a card that's the same. Wickless Baron. Or Tycoon, sorry.
Tycoon? Yeah.
Except this one applies everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, huh?
This is fine. Don't take this past, like, 4 or 5.
Yeah, but like, when you're playing Melting, you have dregs, so you're guaranteed, like, as long as you just play out your dregs and let them die, you get in bank.
This is one where you don't really want to buy this, because I ran the numbers, and you have to get like 30-something deaths to make sure this is worth buying. Mm-hmm. Picking this up early, though, is really good. It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
late game, meh. Make sure you're going to get to that.
The earliest you can see it, like from the shop?
I think the earliest trinket shop you can see is 4-4.
Okay, yeah, that seems like it'd be pretty tough to do then.
Yeah, I don't think you buy this ever, but picking it up is fine.
Play Umbra Melt and get this, and it's just like more souls.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Or just let your dregs die.
Yeah, that's 25 gold every combat. That's like half a collector.
Hell yeah.
All right, up next, Mold Braces. Friendly units gain Extinguish, apply armor 5 to the front friendly unit.
Hooray.
Yeah. I've taken this once, and I like, halfway through the combat, no, probably like on Seraph, I took this pretty early, and on Seraph, I went, why is my Rector gaining 5 armor here? Like, why am I getting +5? And then I went, oh, yeah. Mold Braces. This relic does nothing.
I think that like there's an interesting potential for it with intent on death.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just like you know, you put holdover and intent on death, and you just every turn you're like, I don't know, you're putting 20 armor on your front line on one of your floors.
Well, no, because intent on death only targets a single unit.
Oh shit, you're right.
But the good use case for this is like with endless. This is just like a unit tanks a hit and then gives 5 armor to the unit behind it, and then does it again next round. That's it. It's fine, right?
Yeah, it's like one of those. You know, it's not
melting spout.
It's not melting spout. It's not hurting you. It's not hurting anyone. Like, take it, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, it's worth 25 gold probably.
I agree.
Up next, resin block. When a friendly unit dies, enhance it with +10 attack. This is good with endless.
Yeah.
Good
it's
with
supposed
reform.
to be good with resolve, but like we said it before in the melting review, we both struggle to get resolve to work efficiently.
Yeah, like this is probably best if you have like a probably the best case for this is like endless bounty stalker. My man's getting +20 every round. Obviously, 10 of that falls off, but still, it's fine.
I concur.
A lot of times this isn't worth it though. Like if you're not really reforming and you don't have an endless unit, don't take this. Anything else?
I have nothing else to say about the resin block.
Yeah, it's like it enhances with +10, so they keep it forever. All right.
You know, it'd be kind of funny if there was like some cool like card relic like crazy synergies where like having remove resin while having resin block somehow chipped the resin off the block and there was something inside of it like a super relic.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be neat. I don't know.
I should clarify, I said they keep the enhance effect forever. That's not right. They don't keep it outside of the combat, but like the whole point is they die and get the +10, so that +10 stacks up if they die multiple times. That was my point.
It is an enhancement, not a permanent upgrade.
Yes.
Like, enhancements inherently upgrade for the battle permanently, not forever permanently.
Yes. Good. Alright, home stretch. Up next, votive key. Waxer units gain endless. I will now show you the waxer units.
I think that votive key is a trap.
It is terrible.
There are times if you like removed all your dregs, which is not often a good idea to do because they're not bad units. But if you've removed your dregs already, then this is pretty good. But the issue with votive key is that it keeps bringing your dregs back, which is oftentimes bad.
Not good.
You don't want them. You don't want to keep drawing dregs, even though they're one of the best starting cards. You don't want to keep drawing them. They're not that good of a card.
Yeah, they're the best starting card because they're 0 energy and they get out of your deck. This removes the part that makes them good. If Drag started with Endless, I think they would be a D tier starter. I think, honestly, the only units that this is good on is Lady of the House and Lady of the Reformed. Everything else here, Votivary already has Endless, Draft, you're probably reforming, and Legion of Wax, where the fuck are you gonna put him?
Yeah, I've had it be kind of funny with Legion of Wax where I just put Legion on the first floor and then he dies and I put him on the second floor.
Yeah, and then
that's kind of neat, but that's not all. You have to keep the second floor empty for him. Basically, is the issue there.
And since it's only got like 2 specific units, this is strange because you can just get endless elsewise from like a book or from a shop.
Mm-hmm. And it often is negative when you it's bringing your dregs back.
Yeah, like the only time you can really take this is late game if you've removed all your dregs, and even then I would argue it's probably not worth it.
The other relic is probably going to be better for you still.
Yeah, this one does actively hurt you. I didn't even think of it, but like add this to the list. Probably actively hurts you some cases. Okay. The final relic. You ready?
Oh baby.
Waxer Snuffer. Extinguish abilities trigger an additional time. I will now show you the units that have Extinguish on them. Oh my god, this works with Spike Driver Colony.
Oh, that's interesting.
That sounds awful.
Didn't we say before about how like the max you could reasonably get was like 6? Doesn't this bring it up to like 9?
Yeah, because you could have like you could go into the combat with 3, and then double each of those to like 5. Yeah,
I mean,
9.
if you want 6, you want 9. I'll just say it right there.
Yeah, but you
that's
don't.
pretty cool. But like, how often do you want 6 or 9?
Yeah, you don't. However, well, I mean, do you want me to list you all of the Extinguish units real quick? I'm looking at them all.
I mean, it's the tomes, right?
Yep.
And then like probably I don't know. What's his name again? Waxman.
Legion of Wax, Bounty Stalker, and
Bounty Stalker.
Votivary.
I was gonna say him too. And then outside of the melting, I don't know.
There are no units with Extinguish outside of melting other than Spike Driver Colony.
Okay.
And so it's Bounty Stalker, the 5 Tombs, Votivary, and Legion of Wax. I will say that The double triggering of Extinguish is good for Legion of Wax and Votavary. It's okay for Entombed Explosives. It turns Molten Encasement.
Bounty Stalker.
Yeah, Bounty Stalker as well is good. Sorry, I forgot about him. It's okay for Entombed Explosives. What the fuck for Remnant Host and Devourer of Death and like Molten Encasement. Wow, with a relic, this card is almost as good as that one stealth card. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you, Molten Encasement. And like Formless Child, but like how often do you have 2 units you want to bring back with Formless Child?
I mean, if your strategy is to hit a unit with Formless Child, right?
Yeah.
And like you're worried that maybe one of your other units will die instead, this gives you insurance in that situation because you'll get both of them back.
Right.
Don't.
Yeah, don't play this card. Like the big problem with this relic is that most of the units that it works with are bad. However, Legion of Wax, this card is insane with because it like, oh my god, you summon so many. You summon so many, even if you don't have it. This does combo with Intent on Death. It does make it trigger their Extinguish twice without killing them. So like Bounty Stalker and Legion of Wax, this is good with. If you're getting one of them, do that. Votavary, it's pretty good as well. And maybe Entombed Explosives.
And
Otherwise...
Mold Braces.
Oh, yeah. Oh, baby, is that 10 armor? Ooh. And I mean, theoretically, it's good with Melting Spout, right? Because the tombs have more health now.
Sure. Sure, you weirdo.
Yeah, Wax or Snuffer is okay in some situations, but like also a lot of times.
It doesn't ruin you like the key does.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't actively hurt you, but sometimes it does nothing. Wow, Melting has some weird relics. You want to give your overall Melting thoughts?
I mean, you just said it. Some of them are weird. Some of them are like only good. Like some of them, Melting Spout.
Yeah. In conclusion, Melting Spout. Yeah.
Are we done?
I think we're done. I think that's it. The review series is over.
Okay, well, can you give me a time check approximately? What is it, like 2.5 hours?
Yeah. Let me give you an official time check here. This video is 2 hours and 41 minutes presently.
Oh, that's horrendous.
Man, remember when people were complaining that the video that was an hour and a half went up?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I remember so well.
I don't know. It's not like we fucked around, right?
We fucked around a lot. But it was fun.
It was fun. Yeah. I don't expect this is a video anyone's going to watch in one sitting. If you did, what the hell? Thanks. Yeah. That's crazy. I think that's the end of the review series though, right?
Yeah.
We did everything. How's it feel?
It was good, and I do want to say thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining me. This would have probably been miserable to do on my own.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I've done this review thing on my own, and it wasn't very fun.
Well, I'm glad to have been there for you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you to everyone who's come with us on this review video series journey. It's been a pleasure having you. And join us next week when we review top 5 singers whose names start with Eminem.
Rhyme with Eminem.
Oh. Does anyone's name rhyme with Eminem?
Shmeminem.
Oh shit. I didn't think of Shmeminem.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, goodbye.
You want yeah.
That's mine. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And thank you.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being here with us through these reviews. It's been a lot of fun. You know, if you have anything else that we could possibly review, feel free. Who knows, maybe Cranberry and I will think of something fun to do together in the future with Monster Train. But
I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good one. Farewell.